I am proud to announce that starting today, our company is now Meta. We're going to be talking about the metaverse. Meta. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. Meta. This could be very positive for our society. Meta. I hope that you will join us. You're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. This isn't about spending more time, friends. It's about making the time that we always spend better. We're starting to see a lot of these technologies. Next, there are avatars. And that's how we're going to represent ourselves in the metaverse. All right, perfect. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. You'll see the facial expressions. You get to decide when you want to be with other people. When you want to block someone from appearing in your space, or when you want to take a break and teleport to a private bubble. Meta. We're going to talk about the metaverse. Meta. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. Meta. This could be very positive for our society. Meta. I hope that you will join us. I want to share what we imagine is possible. This is not the way. That's too realistic. That's a glimpse of the kinds of experiences that you might have in the metaverse. You're going to really feel like you're there with other people. Have someone to be upfront about the fact that there's a ton that we just don't know yet. So we're going to approach this with humility and openness. We're going to talk about the metaverse. I thought I was supposed to be the robot. This could be very positive for our society. Don't join us.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
This is not a valid menu option. Condition orange. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. This is the Gematria Effect on Truth Frequency Radio. We are also streaming on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you should check out the 24/7, 365 streaming platform, Truth Frequency Radio. Again, my time slots every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern. And as we broadcast, it is the end of Yom Kippur, the day of judgment, the day of atonement for your sins in Jewish spirituality. And Aaron Judge, he just set the home run record for the American League in the time of Yom Kippur. Yesterday was the first day of Yom Kippur. And, of course, when he passed Babe Ruth, yesterday he passed Roger Maris. When he passed Babe Ruth in 2017, he did it on Yom Kippur. Again, when he passed Babe Ruth, it was a 96-year record that he broke, and in Gematria, Aaron Judge equals 96. It's interesting that the word Queen equals 62, as does Bronx, where the Yankees are, but both are also 26 with numerology. Aaron Judge set the record with 62 home runs 26 days after the Queen's death at age 96. Again, Aaron Judge equals 96. Who broke Babe Ruth's 96 record during Yom Kippur, connected to judgment when his name's Judge. Judge also has that Gematria 88, and he set the record on the day, leaving 88 days left in the year, as does the name Elizabeth. And notice Aaron Judge wears the number 99. Yom Kippur equals 99. And, of course, Queen Elizabeth, again, her birth name, Elizabeth Alexander Mary, equals 99 using the numerology method, like how her husband died at age 99 on the 99th day of the year, April 9th, 2021. And then Charles gave his first speech as king on 9/9. And, you know, a lot of people don't catch these things, but on the same day that Aaron Judge was setting the home run record, you had something else going on in the world of entertainment that was more fateful, and that was the death of the woman known as Loretta Lynn, who was referred to as the coal miner's daughter and the queen of country. And she died on her 174th day of her age, and Aaron Judge equals 174. And again, dies the same day he sets the home run record that's synced up with the queen, and then she's the queen of country. And when you think of coal mining, you might think of the Virginias, a lot of coal mining, especially in West Virginia. It's like the coal mining epicenter of the country. And again, Virginia, next to Virginia is Maryland, Virgin Mary. Queen Elizabeth only ever went to one American football game in her life, and it was back in 1957. And it was Maryland versus North Carolina. And North Carolina is named after King Charles I. Of course, King Charles just replaced Queen Elizabeth, who died on the Virgin Mary's birthday. Again, Elizabeth Alexander Mary, the Queen's name, the new Prime Minister of the UK, who took office on 9/6, 2 days before the Queen died at 96. Her birth name is Mary. The new Queen on the Netflix show about the royal family, her name is Mary. And again, dead on the Virgin Mary's birthday was Queen Elizabeth, September 8th. And again, the only football game she went to was Maryland in 57. And then she's dead on the first day of the NFL season, where Buffalo, the Queen City, wins. And, you know, just like how Josh Allen equals, or I should say, just like how Aaron Judge equals 96, so does Josh Allen. He was the winning day that day for Buffalo, upsetting the defending Super Bowl champions. Again, on the same day the Queen dies at 96, again, representing the Queen City. But the point I'm making is all this stuff, sports, news, it's all connected. When the Royals won the World Series, that was the 111th World Series. Queen Elizabeth was born on the 111th day of the year. New York equals 111. The Royals beat the New York Mets in the 111th World Series. We've been talking about these same things for years. In 2017, I was talking about Aaron Judge passing Babe Ruth on the 96-year anniversary on Yom Kippur, the Day of Judgment. And this year, the Yankees marketed Aaron Judge setting the record as the countdown to Judgment Day. And then it happens on Yom Kippur. If you watch my videos from yesterday morning before he set the record, I talked about Aaron Judge, where he fit in with Yom Kippur, where Alec Baldwin's shooting of the Ukrainian woman fit in with Yom Kippur. That was yesterday. Since then, Aaron Judge did set the record as predicted, and I didn't even, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's why I was bringing it up with Alec Baldwin. But today, Alec Baldwin's in the news for settling with the family of Helena Hutchins, the Ukrainian woman that he shot on the set of Rust in a church shootout scene. Ukraine-Russia, right before Ukraine-Russia. Ukraine-Rust, Ukraine-Russia. And Monday, before Yom Kippur started, the story was that the nuclear doomsday submarine in Russia is missing. They don't know where this threatening sub is. It's like the hunt for Red October on the first Monday of October to start the news cycle for the month of October. On the first day, a Russian sub, the movie The Hunt for Red October, about, you know, Russian sub, the conflict between the U.S. and Russia, and Alec Baldwin stars in that movie. We were talking about that last year when he shot the woman in October. And again, if you watch that same video, I talked about, you know, watch for how the numbers 105 and 201 come together on October 5th, because Order of Illuminati has Gematria 201 and 105. Again, today's 10-5 like 105, and Alec Baldwin shot the Ukrainian woman 201 days after his birthday. Last year on this day, Forbes put out their list of richest people, and number one was Jeff Bezos on this day in the article published, worth $201 billion, 201, 105. They do it over and over. But again, you just think about this country, right? The coal miner's daughter makes you think of Virginia. you know, right next to Mary, Virgin Mary, Catholic Church, and Judaism, right? That's what the Jesuits are. The Catholics and the Jews, they came together to form the Jesuit order to counter the Protestant Reformation that was targeting both those spiritualities. And the rest is history. And again, in Gematria, Yom Kippur equals Jesuit order. So anyhow, I hope I explained that clearly enough. And with regards to Yom Kippur equaling Jesuit order, equaling 144, the woman who died, Loretta Lynn, the Queen of Country, she was born on April 14th, 14/4, like 144 as they write it in the majority of the world. So, don't quote me on what at-bat number it was last night for Aaron Judge, but whatever number it was the 104th prime number as well. And he hits the home run record on 10-4, like 104. Again, when the announcers are blurting out they couldn't have scripted it any better, it should be so obvious. Especially, Aaron Judge must be less of a hitting talent than some of these other guys who've hit all these home runs in the rigged rituals that were, because did you see how bad the meatball was they had to throw him for the 60-second home run? I mean, that was a batting practice, warm-up, out of the park every time pitch. Come on, man. No Major League Baseball player is throwing meatballs like that. And for the record, you guys, again, Yom Kippur equals 99. Aaron Judge number 99. The word record, again, Gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. It equals 63 forwards, 99 in reverse. Number 63 was on the mound when Judge number 99 set the record. And remember, when Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 61, it was pitcher number 39 and catcher number 22. And now Aaron Judge sets the record in 2022. Again, pitcher 39, catcher 22, added together, 39 plus 22, 61. Maris' 61st home run in 61. And then 61 years later, which is this year, you got Aaron Judge breaking the record on Yom Kippur, like how he broke Babe Ruth's record. So, again, there's a reason they're always blurting out. You couldn't have scripted it any better. And there's even more to say, but if you guys are new here, we've been talking about the same stuff with Aaron Judge and Yom Kippur for 5 years with just regards to this. The first time we documented it was 2017, the day before the Vegas shooting at Mandalay Bay Casino, and Mandalay Bay equals 96. The mass shooting in Sin City when Yom Kippur is about judgment and atonement for your sins. And all that year we saw the way the numbers fell. It was not looking pretty for Yom Kippur. It ended up being what happened at the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day, leaving 91 days left in the year. But anyhow, because we missed some shows, I want to make sure there's a lot of phone line tonight for people to call in and participate. And if you would like to be part of the show tonight, the number is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. And again, try to keep your call to about 2-3 minutes, and we'll get through a lot of different voices and thoughts. Of course, we'll have Rambo with us after the break. And I do believe that tonight, we should hear. Oh, you know what? He called in tonight. I'm gonna. Derek, who just updated the Gematrinator, a big hot topic this week. He's on. I don't want to keep him waiting, and let's get him on right now. Hey, Derek, how you doing, man?
Hey, Zach, how you doing? Thanks for having me back.
Of course, it's been a while. For people who don't know, Derek is who built Gematrinator.com. This is the man who made that website. This past Monday, it had a big renovation. And again, when things change, sometimes people really don't like it. So, Derek, if you want to talk about that a little bit, and then if we got time, also the organic side, because I think that's a big-time conversation that's worth the attention right now.
Well, yeah, that's originally why I had intended to call in. As far as the website, it's definitely been a little bit of a mixed bag as far as the response. Some very positive, some very negative. And we've been responding to all constructive feedback. And we've made a lot of tweaks and changes since launch. So if you visit the mobile calculator, for instance, which was a big hot topic, we're starting to tweak that more and more. I also have uploaded the older calculators. And it's funny because when I uploaded those older calculators, I remember I got a lot of flack because everyone wanted the one before that one. You know, they wanted me to keep it. So over time, people did adapt. I understand this is a big change. And, you know, look at how different things are from 2018 when I launched that last one to what they are now. Not only are there a lot more visitors at the website, but having been the same for 3-4 years, yeah, it did ruffle some feathers. And, you know, there are a couple other things I would have done differently. I would have let people know more ahead of time about the fact that nothing's behind a paywall that wasn't before. It's still the same access. There's actually more powerful tools. And, you know, with a free account, you get access to history. So if you accidentally refresh, a lot of your stuff is still there. A whole bunch of other features. There's an FAQ on the top of the page for people who want more information. And like I said, it's a work in progress. This is just the beginning. You know, it's not like I'm launching this and just going to try to collect money and do nothing. This is just the start. And, you know, we're calling it phase 1. We'll have a phase 2. The database is going to be much more populated again and categorized eventually. So that's what's hard to see. There's a lot of work that's been done behind the scenes to help make relevant matches. Because I understand people love the match to database function. Personally, and I don't know about you, Zach, maybe you can talk to it, but I don't use it terribly frequently. I find that matching to the history you've built with the current decode you're working on is probably more powerful. And there's some new functions that allow for that. And also a new most common match, which finds basically everything in your history table and finds the largest numbers that match. So this is really useful for helping people to find matches that a lot of us are missing, so to speak. You know, a couple more tweaks to be made yet, but yeah, I like where we're headed.
Indeed. Again, it is a little bit different. So some people don't like the adjustment period, but I think once everyone figures it out, they'll be happy. And like Derek said, you guys, I mean, all the functionality is still there. He did add features that you can pay for if you want additional stuff. And again, that's up to you. And I don't know why you would be upset about that. I mean, it takes a lot to build a website. And I know when Derek came into the community, he didn't make websites. He knew how to make Excel documents, which is what the original calculator was. And I'm sure it was myself and others who put the bug in his ear, like, this would be a really cool website. And he figured out how to do it. And he really did revolutionize the work. And it's been free for over 5 years now. And it's still free, but now there's just a way for him to raise some additional revenue. And again, Derek's always put in work and effort and his own money into the community. So again, I mean, to me, that if you want to support it after 5 years, it's deserved. If not, you know, at least you're helping with the research. But I'm just amazed at how people. I'm just hearing all the complaints about the calculator just on my own page. And again, how do you feel about it, Derek?
Well, I'll admit I was a little bit surprised, right? Because again, the scale of the number of users, like I see the numbers, right? But I have no way to comprehend how many people that actually is. So even though it was, you know, I guess a small percentage of complaints, it was still a lot. And, you know, all complaints matter as far as I'm concerned. I'm trying to make a good product here, you know? So, yeah, it's been a little bit stressful. I mean, you know, I quit my job at GE last year making really good money. And, you know, the reason is I'd rather work harder for this type of knowledge and help spread this rather than.
I didn't realize you quit your job. Electric. I didn't realize you quit your job. When did you do that?
Yeah, it happened to be on my birthday last year.
Wow.
And I took a little time away from things just because I hadn't had much vacation, and I came back, and really in March is when the work on the website really started going up. So, I mean, I've been working nonstop since then, basically full time to try and build this thing. And, you know, it's gone through a couple of rebuilds, but I like where it's at now. And you know, like I said, going for the future, we're on much better servers now. Everything's really fast as far as we've seen. So,
sure.
You know, formatting and styling aside, which, you know, I still think looks nice. It was my mistake, too, for not really revealing the calculator, except for on my YouTube channel. And, of course, the comments there are going to be positive because people like my work on there, whatever. So, you know, like I said, I would have done a few things differently. Gotten the word out more ahead of time, but, you know, had to release eventually. You know, can't live off that GE money forever.
Sure. I think the website looks great, and I like the splash page with the geometric design. Again, Gematria, geometry, and language. And when I was looking at it, I was blown away by the monthly stats and calculations. Are these numbers real, or are you ballooning the numbers?
I'm going to have to verify that because I know in testing we didn't have access to the real ones. I'm not sure if those are live now that it's live. I think it's probably not because the calculations, I don't know if there's any way that there's that many yet, but you know, the database is populating quickly. Like it's definitely getting a lot of usage. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, those numbers are huge. Wow. Okay, that's a good sign for Gematria.
Yeah, they might even be coded. I don't know. We'll check into it. I don't want to
Okay.
throw too much out there.
Okay. Yeah, is there anything else you want to say about the website?
Not really. Again, I mean, instead of complaining to Zach, there's a support link at the bottom of the page. Like I said, we're responding to all constructive feedback. Our plan is to keep working on this until more and more people are happy, and then I can get back to decoding, making better graphics, videos, things like that. That's what I really want to focus on soon, but this comes first.
Okay. I think the complaints will die down in time as people adjust. Some people didn't like having to put in their email address to get the features. What was the reason you wanted their email address? Is that so you can give them information about the blog?
Yeah, well, the idea is that you sign up for a free account with your email, and that allows us to store the history that people put in there. So as it's always been, matches get submitted to the database for the shared feature, and now you can turn that off too if you want. So this way, people log in, they see that their history is being saved, and that's with a free account, that's an upgrade. So it's kind of, hey, like this is just one of the features. There's several more that you can pay for. Again, things that are new.
Sure. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And I think sometimes people just need questions like that answered, and then they're like, oh, okay, I guess I can give you my email address.
Yeah,
and you guys,
that's fair. It's something I didn't really put proper consideration into. There hasn't been a whole lot of backlash on that. I think people are used to getting throwaway emails for when they need to and whatnot.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, for people who don't do that, yeah, make a throwaway email if you just want to sign up for something. That's another thing you can do. So
yeah, I mean, there's a mailing list that's optional that people can get updates for blog posts and things like that. And as far as ideas for the website, I got so many, useful and fun. I want to start working on a Gematria quiz, like a weekly one. Get a leaderboard up, test people's knowledge, how fast they can respond to questions, things like that.
Sure.
I think that'd be interesting stuff. So
I think if we could invent a Gematria board game, or it could even be a computer game as well. I mean, you can have a board game be a computer game, but if we could come up with a clever, people like games, people like having fun. If we could make it fun and gamey, then people would get it. Was there a reason you launched this on October 3rd?
Well, overall, it's because the guy who was helping us with my business partner, he was going on vacation this week, so we couldn't launch for 2 or 3 weeks after this. So I was like, okay, let's get everything up and running before he leaves. So October 3rd is the date that we settled on because he was leaving on Wednesday. And, it just so happens October 3rd was 31 weeks after March 1st when we launched the business. There were a lot of interesting numbers about it. I did kind of look at the couple of dates that we had options for, and I was like, wow, this one lines up really well. And then we find more and more after it. So.
Yeah, that's funny.
I mean, it's hard not to pick a certain date or whatever.
Yeah, I just noticed it was 74 days after my birthday. I was like, that's perfect. And
that's awesome.
The 31 thing you just said is funny too, because that's my birth numerology. So is my dad's. Well, really breaks down to 4, but it breaks down to 31 to 4. So interesting.
Right on. Well, hey, I mean, you're the one who's going to be sharing as much work on it as anybody, I would imagine. So it all fits in.
Indeed, and for what it's worth, I think the new redesign looks really cool. So,
well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do. So,
the organic side. If you want to, I've been talking about what happened on the 22nd. You heard what I was talking about, and then something happened in your own family's life.
Yeah. So, I was I can't remember which I heard first, but I was actually at my uncle's house. So my uncle got in a car accident in like central Wisconsin on his way home from a trip, and he lost his girlfriend in the accident. It was extremely sad, and I was actually at his house, and he had to take a phone call, and I jumped on, forget if it was yours or Dan's blog first, but I saw a post about synchronicities with crashes on the 22nd, and my gut dropped. Because I was like, oh my God, like here I am, helping to console my uncle who's going through like the worst of it, that obviously he's ever had. And, I do believe in a sense that everything does happen for a reason. And, that visit I had with my uncle, we talked about a lot of strange things that he's never talked about. He wouldn't normally entertain. Me pointing out you know, because we started by me showing him the Comedy Central segment where they made fun of my calculator. And that got his interest because, wow, TV is talking about it. It kind of opens the doors for some people when they see that it's getting that many eyes on it. So I showed him that, and then I showed him the synchronicity after explaining what synchronicity is and what I'm teaching. And he was like, wow, like, tell me more. And I started to explain about past synchronicities I've had, how tragedies in my life have unfolded completely by the numbers. And, you know, he took enough of an interest in where, you know, it distracted him and helped to take his mind off things. So for that sense, it was interesting. But, you know, not only was it you said you knew like 3 people, right? On the same day.
So it was the gentleman who I'd been talking to the most when I was driving back from New York, who was trying to keep me up so I didn't crash. And then it was my dad got hit on the same day. And then realtor got hit. And then I found out about your uncle. And did you see what Dan Barrett said about what happened to his friend on the 22nd?
Yep.
Dan Barrett.
Yeah, a friend of his from like 10 years ago died in a motorcycle crash on the same freaking day.
And what blows my mind about that is, you know, when I think of Gematria OGs, Dan Barrett's been at it the longest after me. And then you've easily had one of the hugest contributions with the Gematrinator calculator. So it's just like, it's just, did you know that September 22nd is annually the day known as Car Free Day?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah. It encourages people to stop driving in cars.
It's wild, man. I mean, you know, it's all on the 22nd of the month. The word crash is 22. And I remember being on the road. I was with a friend driving on the road on the 22nd day of 2020. And I told her, 22nd day of 2020, anyone with 22s in their name or number or birthday or something better watch out. And then 5 minutes later, we saw a van hit a light pole and knock out all the lights on the street. And I was like, see? So I've already had crash synchronicities with the number 22. I mean, that was only like the second car accident I've ever really witnessed. And it happened right after I said something about the number 22. I was like, that kind of stuff blows me away. And I know we're close to break here. I just want to throw out, I messaged you on Skype earlier to see if we were going to hook up on there. And when I saw the date that I last called in on Skype, it was March 13th of 2019. And that date stuck out to me because March 13th was the big coronavirus date. In Latin Gematria, which is the old Jewish cipher, the word coronavirus sums to 1303. And that was the date, the 13th of March, that Donald Trump declared a national emergency for coronavirus. Well, today is 1,303 days after 1303, 2019, the last time I called in through Skype. And on top of that, 1303 is the 213th prime number. And then how do I dial into the show? I dial the 213 area code. Also, this was 186 weeks, and in Latin, TFR equals 186. And I'm huge on the Latin method. Anyone who saw my work, you guys know that there's something going on with that.
Dan Barrett was blowing my mind about me with 186. He made it seem like it was the number of my life. I'm like, how is Dan Barrett tracking all this stuff? He remembers stuff about me way better than I do. He's always had the best memory, though. But if you guys haven't seen Dan Barrett's latest video talking about the crash on the 22nd and his friend. Oh, hold on. We'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight.
Blame. I engaged in this the big share of my life until I met Mr. Show. I used to blame my negative relatives. I used to blame the government. I used to blame taxes. I used to blame prices. I said, it costs too much. Show said, no, let's cover the real problem. You can't afford it. I thought, wow. I never looked at it like that before. Shope said, sir, you must intellectually understand it's not it that's your problem. It's you that's your problem. It's not out there that's the problem. Out there is like it's been for 6,000 years. You can't cure that. But what you can cure is errors in judgment, errors in attitude, errors in activity, errors in misjudging results. I found that the errors were within. But see, he had to go after me on that point.
Discover the extraordinary powers of intuitive healing with pain transmutation, a method of holistic healing for the human soul, body, mind, and emotions. If you are looking for answers and a deep understanding of how to help yourself and the people around you to live a happier, healthier life, this is the right place for you. Learn how to read your soul's history in the Akashic Records. Remove negative energy attachments from your astral body and start the process of inner and outer pain transmutation. Join Pain Transmutation Community to get started on the path of intuitive healing. Change your energetic state. Manifest new and exciting experiences. Re-energize your life and build inspiring connections with others in our community.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Jim Ram, retired. In early 2012, I was facing a laundry list of chronic health conditions that my physician was telling me were incurable. I knew there had to be a better way, and I learned how I could reverse every one of my ailments with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. In just a few months, I was able to reverse high blood pressure, gastric reflux, sleep apnea, arthritis, degenerative disc disease, heart arrhythmia, AFib, and many more. And I've lost over 70 pounds and kept it off. Now I'm hosting a radio program that's dedicated to helping my listeners do the same. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you're sick of being used as an ATM by your doctor, then you'll want to tune into the Your DIY Health radio program here on Truth Frequency Radio every Thursday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern and 6 to 8 a.m. Pacific.
We are TFR.
Yes, that is all I need to live. Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back. We got some static on the line, but we also got Derek and Rambo. I will go to Rambo as soon as Derek's on. Rambo's always very patient, and I definitely want to hear a lot from Rambo too. But we got Derek on, and we haven't talked to Derek in a long time. And again, a big week for Gematria. Plus, this organic thing is pretty mind blowing. So we were in the middle of the organic side, and what were we saying just before the break came?
Well, we're generally talking about the number 22 and crashes and previous synchronicities I've had with it. I guess, my general theory about numerology has mostly remained unchanged over the last few years, which is that, we're not necessarily the first people to discover that this code has some tie to Mother Nature and how our lives manifest. It's hard to pin down exactly what it is, and maybe we can't necessarily tap into the formula, I don't know. But, the reason that everything is done by the numbers in the media, in the news, not only is it mockery of the masses who are unaware of this organic code that's operating, but it's their way of worshiping this deity, this entity, the creator, whatever you want to call it. And, I think what we're experiencing is simply what others have experienced in the past, but decided to keep hidden from others. And, when I first started this in 2016, what really inspired me to launch the calculator and really put all the effort into it is because I experienced a significant organic tragedy where the same day the Cubs won the World Series, my sister-in-law, whom I was staying with at the time, lost her father in a workplace accident, the same building my dad works at. And down to the numbers in his name, 108 and 45, like how the Cubs broke a 108-year curse, and Cubs equals 45. And he was killed by a giant C. It was a steel ring that was smashed by this industrial hammer, broke off into a C, and killed him. And it's such a weird story to tell. Even saying it out loud sounds weird, but when we talk about symbols, in addition to astrology, numerology, archetypes, things of the sort,
Derek,
there is something happening.
Derek,
Yeah.
every time you tell that story,
Okay.
you got to make it clear for people who don't get it, because there's like people who don't know the Chicago Cubs. If you guys don't know the Chicago Cubs, who won the World Series breaking the 108-year drought, their logo's a big C. So the day that happens, again, his uncle's name that equals 108 and 45, like Major League, and Wrigley's 45, and they hadn't had a World Series since 45 until they broke the 108-year drought. But the team with the big C logo, and again, he's in the same geographic region as Chicago. He's in Milwaukee, not far away. So
True. Right. And, I saw this happen. I'm like, okay, and when that happened, Zach, honest to God, like I was under the impression that all of the numerology we were uncovering was done by man. I mean, this was just when I was getting into it. It was early on. And I was like, okay, like there is something actually extremely phenomenal about this. It's not only that there's some people playing with numbers in the media, but there's actually something like truly awesome about this. And yeah, it's tragic, and that's part of our lives. Everyone goes through tragedy at some point, but the fact that even that is happening, where there appears to be some sort of mechanism that allows for synchronicity to occur in this planet, it's something that people on this earth would never have known, probably without even the internet to a degree. I mean, for us to finally see what's going on across the world at the same time. Another great example, and really still one of the most heart-stopping things that I've ever had happen, is when I was working for GE in 2015, we moved to a new warehouse, and there was one person who was assigned to my supply chain for shipping and receiving. That was her job all day. And she had the last name Jagodzinski, which was my cousin's last name. And I had a cousin named Chris Jagodzinski, who died at the age of 18. And it was on February 25th, 2004, the same day as the release of Passion of the Christ. And he was involved with the Wisconsin Synod and hosted a television show that was sent out to various churches and schools around the Midwest. And he died of a stroke. He had a stroke, and then another 3 days later, he had a second stroke. And that happened on February 25th, 2004, the same day as Passion of the Christ. His name was Christopher. Well, I met this woman with the same last name, and I was like, hey, do you know Chris or any of the other family? And she said, no, sorry, I never heard of them. And I was like, okay, yeah, because I had a cousin Chris who died back in 2004. And she said, really? I had a brother named Brian Jagodzinski who died in 2004. And I was like, wow, that's odd. I said, yeah, February 25th. And she goes, what? And I said, no way. Sure enough, she shows me the obituary. These two Jagodzinskis died on the exact same day, totally different parts of the country. One of them in a car wreck in Florida that she couldn't figure out. And then my cousin dying of a stroke, which didn't make sense because he was very athletic and able. And so I don't know what happened. I mean, is it just synchronicity? Is there some other dimension that other beings, entities are operating in that makes this occur? Are we being manipulated because we're in a spotlight of some sort? I don't know. I just make observations and theories, but it's clear to me that there's more than just man manipulation. And I mean, I'm sure you agree, especially with everything that's been happening just with our meeting at Marquette being by the numbers. It's too wild, and it's everywhere you look. The way I see it too is the more emotion, the more energy an event receives, the stronger those things will be. So for my uncle's crash, this was right before Hurricane Ian. And my uncle, think about the news story with my uncle is that his car was hit by a dump truck. And that's all the details I knew at first, a dump truck. This was said several times. Well, back in April, I did a decode on the death of an NFL quarterback who was struck by a dump truck. It's the only dump truck related post I've ever made in like 2,500 posts that I have. And my uncle, he's got connections to Florida where that crash occurred. That's where his second wife and her daughter live. His third wife was named Mickey. And I just did a decode on Disney World, a funnel cloud at Disney World by the numbers, like Mickey Mouse. And where the crash happened here in Wisconsin, it was less than a quarter mile from a one-strip airport called Clearwater Ranch Airport. And Clearwater is a city in Florida that was hit by Hurricane Ian. So And there's more. I mean, I could go on. I did make a post about it. I made a whole video about it if people want to find out more. And the woman who died has the same gematria as Dwayne Haskins, the name of the quarterback, who was also hit by a dump truck. So I don't know what's happening. I'm kind of done like claiming to know, but it's fascinating. That's all I can say for certain. So
doesn't it seem like sometimes you can discern when it's being manipulated? Like Aaron Judge, both his home run records surpassing Babe Ruth and Roger Maris on Yom Kippur, and then tying Roger Maris in the Rogers Center.
Oh, 100%. There was something up here, and you called it early on in the show where you said, they threw him a meatball. The way I see it, they gave him 2 games. October 4th and October 5th were both excellent dates. October 4th, you laid the Queen riddle all the way to Loretta Lynn perfectly. And, they threw him a meatball, and it was not only was it a meatball, but it was the exact same 88-mile-an-hour slider he threw on the pitch before it that he looked at. So we got to look at it.
They reported it was 88 miles per hour. That's what I mean. Because that's what's funny. Beast equals 88, Judge equals 88, Aaron Judge equals 174, like number of the beast. It's just like, come on. I didn't realize they said the pitch was 88 miles per hour. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and Roger Maris would be 88 years old right now.
Oh my God. Come on, man.
So when I see that, I'm like, yeah, there is definitely, like, they're throwing him meatballs, and he's going to get that record. In fact, this is the whole reason they pushed the season back into October. There was no legitimate players' strike. This was all just part of the script, and the season began on 4/7. And, you're talking about Loretta Lynn, and this was so perfect because Loretta Lynn, she was 90. And the names Aaron James Judge and Roger Eugene Maris both equal 90. Coal miner equals 90. And she was born, let's see. Let me make sure I got this. Okay, so she was born just about 60 years before Aaron Judge, or 720 months. Well, 720 was the moon landing. 60 is the gematria of Luna. Loretta Lynn equals 60 and 48, so does Luna. Aaron James Judge is 261, reverse. Luna is 261 Latin. And, the age. So Aaron Judge was exactly 407 lunar phases old last night. And the name Judge equals 47. The season started on 4/7. So these moon counts are super significant. And that's actually why I picked October 5th, but that date, like the moon count is so close to midnight that it counts both dates.
It was that thing about leaving. Well, it could have made sense on October 5th because that's the day leaving 87 days left in the year, which also connects with number of the beast and the word justice. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and look at David Justice's career for the Braves. I have a feeling they were doing similar stuff with David Justice back in the day that they've been doing with Aaron Judge. They've been syncing up so many things with the Supreme Court and rulings. And Aaron Judge has been.
That's a good point.
And again, nobody knows who Aaron Judge's biological parents are. I mean, he has this perfect name for all these perfect judge rituals. To me, it's so obvious that they're growing Manchurians. This guy is a Manchurian. It looks like his head is just it looks like it's like that overgrowth thing. I don't know how to explain it. There's a word for it. So
I know what you're talking about, and it's hard to disagree that they're at the very least being raised into these roles and maybe more.
Yeah. So here, I also want to offer my theory on all these crashes on September 22nd, and especially now after finding out that it's this day that's about moving on from cars, which is really interesting. Again, in Gematria, if you're new here, car is it's 3-letter word, right? C is the 3rd letter, A is the 1st, R is the 18th. So added up, car equals 22. If you take numerology into account, the word crash, so C would still be 3, but R, the 18th letter, the 2nd letter in crash, 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9. You just make each letter a single-digit number. If you add up the letters of crash, it's also 22. And again, all these people with this connection to the Gematria community, or at least to me, everybody had a crash. And then I just started thinking about the master numbers. We just met on 9/11. We had this big gathering on 9/11. And Derek,
you did, yeah. Sorry.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna say you weren't technically there, but you were still part of this thing leading up to it because we made a path. I mean, all these people that across the nation that were part of this event building up to 9/11. I'm just looking at this. I'm like, okay, so we have this big event on 9/11 at the site of the World Trade Center, calling out these things that most people have no idea about. And then again, I remember when I was first starting to read about Kabbalah and this knowledge and how there's a danger to touching on this subject and educating about it. There's a belief that like Creator doesn't really want people sharing this knowledge. And so, essentially curses can be unleashed upon you. I've had the mentality to not worry about that kind of stuff and just, keep doing my best, and hopefully I stay above water. Because again, to me, ever since I found this, like, this information really does shed a lot of light on a lot of things, from how we're being manipulated to really truly that the Kabbalists seem to be right, that there is something about words and language and numbers and the way Creator interacts with us through synchronicity. But anyway, we brought this thing together, and like all this energy with this focus on this knowledge. And then it's about numerology, right? And gematria. So like by the master numbers, 11 days after our meeting on the 11th, boom. And to me, it was so weird because the first guy to call me and tell me this, he sent me the name of the woman from the police report. Her name equaled 83, and she crashed into him at 8:30 in the morning. That's the other thing about this. But again, this is the father who I was talking to while I was driving back, who came out with his son, and he was calling me the whole way back to make sure I'm driving safe. And then he ends up getting in a wreck on the 22nd, the first car crash of his life. Plus, it was 220 days after his birthday, another 220. He's got a Valentine's birthday. And then my dad lets me know that he got rear-ended that day really hard. I'm like, and he hadn't been hit since 98. That's the last time he was in a car crash. And it's funny because I asked my dad, I said, can you remember what day it was you got hit? And he goes, well, the one thing I remember is the Utah Jazz were playing the Blazers. I said, it's funny that you remember it was a Utah basketball game because, of course, Utah is also 22. But, and then my dad, weird enough, both accidents were in the intersection of 117th Street in different cities, but both 117. That's a whole nother subject. You better watch out on November 7th and July 11th in the future. But anyway, the point is, I'm saying, master numbers in numerology, there's a belief that these numbers carry an extra power, an extra vibration. And then we find out it's car-free day, where there's already this focus from at least some minds who are aware of this to move beyond cars. And what are the types of things that will cause people to move beyond cars? My dad's mom, for example, didn't like being in cars because she was once in a deadly accident where she was the only passenger who survived. And again, so she would never go in a car on the highway or freeway. It had to be on a residential street because, again, she just has this trauma from this life experience. But yeah, this is what, I mean, I've been documenting the synchronicities by the numbers and the organic side since I started with this research in 2013. And this thing that happened on the 22nd to me has just been the most mind-blowing and boggling. Again, me interacting with a father, then finding out my own father who got hit, and then just what happened to you, and now Dan Barrett, and again, the realtor. And it's just like, wow. I mean, and then car-free day. So I was like, well, there are a lot of 22nds, but this one was 11 days after our big event. And again, just it's that Hermetic teaching. Everything carries that energy of vibration. And again, you're either being influenced or doing the influencing. And again, I mean, somewhere in this knowledge, somewhere in this world, there's probably an extra book that none of us have seen that really does show like what the specific vibration is of a 2 or a 22. Again, Derek, I'm not there yet. I mean, I have a lot of information, but I still couldn't say that I understand how the energy and vibration of every last number works. I have some thoughts, but again, I still feel like I'm a student in a big way, trying to learn what's really taking place and what we've really found out. But at the same time, I can still definitely see when we're being manipulated, like the election of Joe Biden, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday and all the rest of that. I mean, would you agree with that?
I'd like to think that we can establish that I do agree with you. Like, it's not, there's no chance that I think like all news is organic. What I do think is that there's a chance that when someone dies in the media, it might not be a murder. I think people really do die by the numbers, and it's connected to things around them. So I'm a little bit more neutral in that regard. There's certainly enough suspicious deaths where I'm like,
what about Coolio? How about
really
Coolio?
Like
Let's talk about Coolio, since that just happened. Again, Coolio dead at age 59 on the 59th day of his age on 59 date numerology, when we know what that number is to Black history. And he dies on the 46-year anniversary of Stevie Wonder releasing Pastime Paradise, which is the sample for Gangsta's Paradise. Plus, he dies on the 271st day of the year, and Gangsta's Paradise is 271. And it's 27 years since that song came out. We know about 27 in the 27 Club. Do you think?
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Before I throw my opinion, just a couple more numbers for Coolio. I was talking about the moon earlier. I did a big video on Tua Tagovailoa's injury and how it relates to the brown lunation count. Well, brown lunation 1234 just began. And Coolio had a song on Gangsta's Paradise named 1234.
Right.
And if you recall last year, DMX went to the hospital on 4321
Yes.
right before his death, and he was in a song called 4321 with LL Cool J.
And you know the rest of that, right?
and
That
it's
happened to him 79 days after LL Cool J's birthday, and LL Cool J equals 79, and so does vegetable, and they said he was in a vegetative state, and of course so does murder. And then it was right before Easter and Society of Jesus, and Yeshua's 79. So
is it true that he was like supposedly at a friend's house in the bathroom or something and had a heart attack?
Coolio was at, yeah, they said he was at a friend's house, and the manager broke the news. And if you run Gangsta's Paradise the other way, it's 161, and it was 161 days after the manager's birthday. And so often it is the managers of these people breaking the news. And then you think about it, it's like their manager. It's like they're managing their life till the end.
Yeah, I believe that when it comes to record companies making boatloads of cash, they're signing guys up and they have a script laid out for maybe decades ahead of time, probably by the time they sign that damn contract. And we know this because you write out Coolio's full name, and it's funny because they show him on Wikipedia with his little 22 jersey for the Angels. Angels equals 22. And the photo was taken in 2002. Well, his full name sums to 202, and it also sums to 95 and 76. And Pastime Paradise came out in 76. Gangster's Paradise came out in 95. And then he dies with the 59 sinks. Also, 559 days before the Great American Eclipse. So another 59 for you. But yeah, I mean, it's that date was prime for a 59 thing. And we definitely saw it. But it was all connected to Weird Al, too. I mentioned the moon count with the 1, 2, 3, 4. Al Yankovic equals 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got a new movie coming out. I remember in the 90s, it was Coolio and Weird Al who had a little battle about Weird Al's parody of Coolio's track. They were kind of in a little battle of words over it. So there was synchronicity there too. I shouldn't say synchronicity. I mean, again, who knows to what? That's a death where I'm like, wow, looks like the guy could have definitely got murdered. Yeah.
Indeed. And for the record, Angels equals 32 in reverse, and Gangsta's Paradise, the single, was released on his 32nd birthday. And again, that song turned 27 years old this year. And I mean, there's a lot more to say about it. But you knew about the Stevie Wonder part about how he died on the 46-year anniversary of that song coming out?
Yeah, because Songs from the Key of Life, the name of that album, also sums to 289, like the date. So I saw that first, and then I saw it came out on 289. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, and again, African Americans also 289, like Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed 289 days after her birthday. Yeah, so again, it's like it's like I don't think we disagree too much because again, there's definitely an organic side that seems to be where the whole practice comes from. It's like that's what my theory's always been, is that they're like trying to control the matrix. They're trying to control the energy and the vibration of these numbers by putting seemingly more influence on numbers that are meaningful to them. That's how I interpret it. That's why so many things are 201.
Right. So numbers that they've already established as part of their societies, and 201 being a perfect example. To them, they're like, hey, people have been putting energy into this 201 number for centuries. Let's keep harnessing that energy. I see it in that way, in a certain light.
Right. Yeah. Indeed. All right, Derek. Is there anything else you want to share with the people while you got the mic?
No, not really. Just thanks for reaching out last month. Glad we caught up a little bit, and yeah, I mean, I'm just glad we're having this conversation again because that was kind of the brunt of past little bickerings we had, and at the core of it, I just wanted to talk more about this and how fascinating I am by it. So yeah, I think overall we do agree. I like to think that I have an open mind, and I'm still trying to weave my way through this ocean of numbers. But I agree that some things seem a little too structured, like even more than what the organic would say. So
indeed,
we'll keep our eyes out.
Indeed.
But no, otherwise that's it.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you back on, and congratulations on finishing the calculator. And again, you guys, Derek quit his job last year. I didn't even know that, and he's been putting more time into this. Again, the more people that we can support who are doing the work, again, that's what we need. We need more people to be able to break away from their slave job and dedicate more time to pushing this research forward. So again, if you've never checked out gematrinator.com, great time to check it out for the first time. It's never looked better. And is there any more things you want to say about the features you're offering on the site and the your goals or ambitions, if you can raise enough funds?
Well, yeah, the initial goal is to stay afloat doing this, right? Which isn't going to take too much. Like, I've adapted a monk-like lifestyle pretty well, I think, in this last year plus.
Have you been able to pay off your house?
If we do,
have you paid off your house?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still under that mortgage, unfortunately, but you know, making decent progress. But you know, as far as resources, you know, we do have to pay for the servers or whatever. But beyond that, I'm all for putting more money back into this, whether it's traveling, whether it's investment into, you know, a video editor. There's a lot of ideas I had. Like I said, it's a matter of where we go, because now that the thing is launched, I want to focus on a little more content, just to build enough of a base where I can start thinking about, okay, where can I start allocating these? And but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not about putting it up and collecting the money. Like, now I'm ready to get to work, because this is what I've always wanted to do, is spread how much BS I had to go through as a kid through the school system. That's where this all stems from, Zach. I was so upset in school all day, every day, and now they created someone who's against their system.
Indeed, indeed. Well, I really appreciate your contribution, Derek. I've always said that this calculator, again, you guys, before this calculator existed, there was Gematrix.org, which was very slow, and it didn't even have Pythagorean Gematria, which to me has always been the most important cipher. And then there was WritingTheBeast.com, but you had to do it. They only had 3 or 4 different ciphers, but you had to do it individually for each one, which takes time. Then Derek just said, hey, why not just make it so it all calculates at the same time as you type it in? And I was like, wow, this is, and before I found out about those calculators, I was doing everything by hand. So once Derek put his calculator together, I mean, it just sped up the research. And then the database made things really helpful as well. At the beginning of 2020, when I realized there was more to 201, you know, Derek's database, I went through and looked at the 201s. I started to realize a lot of things connected to the Jesuits were 201. I was like, wait a minute, this makes way too much sense. So,
nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the database, like I said, it's starting out a little slim, but we are piling it up quickly.
You couldn't pull in what you had before?
Well, what I had before was problematic because there was so many phrases in there that were kind of garbage, a bunch of random letters and stuff. I didn't have a good way of filtering things out back then. Now I do. I have a much more advanced algorithm for determining what gets added.
Okay,
so that's a big change. And I am going to be taking that old database, getting them, you know, all the dates, all the numbers, all that stuff loaded in. So over the next week or so, yeah, you'll see that return a little bit more to normal.
Okay. There's a reason for people to use the calculator too, because it's going to take all the good entries and help build up the database. So.
Right. So yeah, that's all about for me. But send my love to Rambo.
All right, he's up next. All right, appreciate it, Derek. Yeah, you have a good night, man.
You bet. Take it easy.
Yeah, take care. And you know, when I met Derek in person at Marquette, you guys, again, Derek's presentation style. Again, everybody likes everybody a little bit more, but sometimes Derek is very analytical and just very focused on a whole. Anyhow, Derek does a really great job in person. We'll be right back, everybody, with Rambo. Sensei.
This is iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio makes you want to move. When you have a great melody, a song lasts forever.
Instantly connected.
I love it when the beat goes.
Did you know you can listen to Truth Frequency Radio on iHeartRadio? Just download the app to your smartphone, or smart TV, and get the best of TFR wherever you are.
iHeartRadio.
I'll see you there.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Who will that be? Who will that be? Who will that be? Who will that be? We have gone from America first to America last. Democrats are vicious. None of this is true.
Who would have thought that within 33 days we'd be bombing the Middle East? You can French kiss the guy next to you. Yelling abolish the police.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
We take great pride in our country. We teach the truth about history, and we reject left-wing lunacy.
Put the mask on! That's not funny! Put the mask on! Because ain't nobody having fun while the socialists are in charge.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
By the way, in Washington, D.C., Bernie is wearing mittens. Hasbro now wants a gender-neutral Mr. Potato Head.
Fortunately,
The best is yet to come.
3, 2, 1.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President.
Wherever you are, make it Frequency Radio.
Conditional age. Conditional age. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Election authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker, and it is time for Rambo to shine. Sorry we had to keep him waiting an extra half hour tonight, but we did need to talk to Derek with his big renovation for GematriaEffectNews. And Rambo, thank you for your patience. We missed you last week because I was too late to get home to start TFR, and I apologize to everyone for missing the show last week. But Rambo, you have as much time as you need tonight, and can't wait to hear the latest. Thank you.
Thanks again. It's very static.
Yes, it is, and man, is your voice drowned out. I don't know why it sounds like there's a blizzard on the air tonight, but it does. I'm boosting you up. Try again, Rambo.
Can you hear me? I was listening up until the commercial break. It seemed like the static increased. I think this is being done, Clark.
It does feel like you're being drowned out. What we could do is, if you want to come on through StreamYard, I could. Do you want to text me an email address and I can send you another way to connect, maybe to avoid the static?
What would that be? What would I have to do?
You'll get a link in the email that I'll send you. If you can just text me your email address, I'll send you a link, and then you'll talk to me through the link, and I'll be able to turn down the volume on where all the static's coming from, because it's coming through the line that I'm connected to you with right now. So if I put you on a different line, I can turn down the static, I believe.
So all I need to do is click that link?
Yeah, just send me a text message with your email address, and then I'll send you the link.
Okay.
Okay. Or if you'd rather, we can just talk over the static too. That's also an option.
I think this is being done consciously, because it's really ratcheting up. It started to break.
Yeah, it usually dies down once somebody starts to talk, but it's not for you. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I can try the text.
Okay, yeah, text me your email address, and I will send you the link, and then you just follow the steps once the link comes.
So am I going to be talking over the cell phone or over my computer?
Well, you were going to be talking through the computer, but now that I think about it, yeah, I guess this is. You know what? Maybe we're not going to be able to avoid the. I was thinking if you were talking through the other thing, then you don't have to compete with the static. But I still probably will have the static coming through on my end. But I think it'll clear it up on your end. So, or we can just tough it out.
Okay, I mean, you can make out what I'm saying, right?
I can make out what you're saying. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. I think someone's doing this deliberately, but
yeah, that would not be a surprise.
Yeah, well, I want to shout out Derek. I'd like to return his greeting and all the best wishes for the new chapter on his Gematria voyage. He's expanding. He got that exposure on national television, so congratulations. And I'm just returning the shout out to Derek.
Indeed. He's in the chat, so I know he hears it.
Yeah. Well, what I want to talk about is I recently had this is a big validation for the work in general and for my work, because it was 3 months ago that I put up a video on my YouTube channel, The Truth Code, where I determined that the most appropriate performer for the Super Bowl halftime show would be Rihanna. And that was on June 26th, I put the video up. It had not been announced. Well, on September 25th, the NFL announced that Rihanna would be the Super Bowl halftime performer. I mean, this was important, a validation for the work, and it was primarily based on the Gematria of 57, Super Bowl 57. Many things can be 57, but I've determined that 57 is a big bird number. And so I just want to go over how I came to the conclusion that Rihanna would be the best Super Bowl halftime headline performer. I also want to talk about the injury to the Dolphin quarterback, Tua. He had 2 concussions in 5 days. Now, so it was on September 25th that the National Football League announced that Rihanna would be the headline performer. at Super Bowl. Oh yeah, so another thing, I have a post on this, but you have to go to Rambo's Corner.
I got it up.
It'll be the top post on Rambo's Corners.
I got it up, Rambo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And just in case some people might not know, like, oh, where is it? If you click Rambo's Corner, it'll be the most recent post there. So it was September 25th that the National Football League announced that Rihanna would be the headline performer at Super Bowl 57, which is on a 57-day numerology. And so the main reason I determined that Rihanna would be the ideal candidate for the Super Bowl is because 57 is a birth number. It means other things but birth. Birth is the first thing I think of when it comes to number 57 in Gematria. And Rihanna has been a major birth symbol. She's used for a lot of big rituals. She's very central to basically the world geopolitics. She's like a ritualistic anchor. Like so much is based off of her. I doubt that she even knows the half of it. Her birth comes to 57. It's Super Bowl 57 on a 57-date numerology. 57 is the number of Gematria vowels Mary. Mary is the most, whether you're a Christian or not, whether you believe it or not, the most famous birth in history is that of Jesus. Mary is 57. Mary is the mother of Jesus. Mother of Jesus is 57. Blessed Virgin Mary is 202. That's like 20th February. That's Rihanna's birthday. So the Super Bowl is being hosted by State Farm Stadium. Its nickname is the Big Toaster. The Big Toaster comes to 202. Also, birth ritual comes to 57. Childbirth comes to 57. So it's heavily coded. Also in Latin, mother. Mother does the birthing. Mother in Latin is mater. Mater comes to 57. The flower of life symbol is the symbol of creation and birth. Flower of life comes to 57. New beginning comes to 57. So 57 is very much a code number for birth and beginning. And that's what Rihanna has symbolized, and this is Super Bowl 57 on a 57-day numerology. Now, another thing that really clinched it for me is Rihanna's birth, which has been one of the most celebrated pregnancy ever, outside of a British royal pregnancy. I've never seen a pregnancy by a celebrity this celebrated and this anticipated. And we still haven't seen the baby. We still don't know the baby's name, which is part of the ritual. But it is on May 2nd of 2022 that this was a birth-related topic was in the news. This was when the United States Supreme Court leaked a draft opinion that it would repeal Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade is abortion law, so that's birth-related. You repeal Roe versus Wade, there'll be more birth. And that draft opinion was leaked on May 2nd and the draft opinion was written by Justice Alito. Alito from the 57, the birth note. On that same day at the Met Gala in New York City, a statue of a pregnant Rihanna was unveiled in New York. It's a marble statue. She was being portrayed as the Greek goddess Irene. And her marble statue as Irene was in the middle of a pantheon of other Greek gods and goddesses, other Greek deities. This is the level, so this is the ritual level, that significance that Rihanna has. She has a really high, she's used in literally magic and basically manifestation. She's really high level. So I looked at Irene, who Rihanna was portrayed as, the same day Roe v. Wade draft opinion was leaked. And Irene was also, that name was given to a moon of the planet Jupiter. The moon Irene of Jupiter is also called Jupiter LVII. to me, that was the clincher. The LVII, because it's Super Bowl LVII. It's 57 in Roman numerals. So that type Rihanna directly into that number LVII, because she's Irene. That's another name for the moon, LVII, or the moon Irene. To me, that's what clinched it. So it was confirmed. So this validates the word. Also, the word moon comes to 57, and the moon is related to Earth in that it determines monthly cycles, and monthly cycles are related to female fertility. But moon 57. Also, Rihanna tweeted a fact to the Met Gala for the marble statue at 2:12 a.m. And these celebrities, they are not in charge of their Twitter accounts. They are not. They may be quoted sometimes. They are not. So whoever ran the account, they might have taken a quote from her, but it kind of looks like the type of thing she'd say. But I don't think she's actually in charge of the account. But it was released at 2:12 a.m., and that was in synchronicity with the date of the Super Bowl, which is 2/12, February 12th. So that was the clincher for me, and then it was confirmed 3 months later. So this is some other parts of it that I did not put in my decode, which I was come across. So this is when she was very close to giving birth. And these celebrities, especially someone of Rihanna's status, where every single detail is of ritual significance. If they're being put out to the public. There's a picture of her in a T-shirt. On the T-shirt, it has the hip-hop legends. RZA started the Wu-Tang Clan. And so the T-shirt she has of RZA, she's on the verge of giving birth. This must have just been days or weeks before. The T-shirt is actually an album cover of RZA from October 7th. The album was released October 7th. The album was called Birth of a Prince. Now that's definitely not a coincidence. It's about Birth of a Prince, which is that's the album cover of RZA. And you look at RZA's birthday, the 5th of July, 5/7/57, the birthstone. And his birth is in the title of the album. So what she's implying? She's implying that she's about to give birth to a prince. There's other symbolism there. I mean, that's part of it too. She has the snakeskin pattern handbag. That's part of it too. The snake symbolism is part of it too. So, yeah, Birth of a Prince. And on the album Birth of a Prince, track number 15 is the birth. So heavy birth symbolism. Birth of a Prince, which is on her shirt, the date October 7th, 2003. I looked up October 7th, 2003, and look what was at the top of the Billboard charts in the United States. Number 1 on October 7th, 2003, which is on Rihanna's T-shirt, was a song by Beyonce called Baby Boy. So it's all ritual. Every detail is a ritual. So I saw how Irene in marble, the statue at the Met Gala, was portraying Irene, the Greek goddess of peace. Well, if you take goddess of peace and Rihanna, they have double overlap in Gematria, 124 and 65. Rihanna, goddess of peace. So that's Irene. And remember that Irene, her name is given to a moon of Jupiter, and that moon is also called Jupiter LVII, like the Super Bowl. So then there's the number 103, because this is the 103rd NFL season. That's about to start. That will culminate in Super Bowl 57. And that's the birthday of the father of Rihanna's baby, A$AP Rocky. His birthday is October 3rd, 103. This is the 103rd Super Bowl. And there's a heavy water theme with Rihanna and with the Super Bowl. Rihanna is a Pisces. Pisces is a water sign. There are 4 elements: earth, air, water, and fire, and 12 zodiac signs. So there's 3 zodiac signs for each element. And Pisces is a water sign. The sign of Pisces is ruled by the planet Neptune, who's Greco-Roman The anthropomorphism god is Neptune or Poseidon, who rules the realm of the sea and rivers. So there's a watery theme to Pisces and Rihanna. Poseidon, Neptune's most recognizable symbol is the trident. And the trident just happens to be the symbol of Rihanna's native Barbados. The trident is on the flag of Barbados, Rihanna's native country, which is also the symbol of Neptune, which rules her zodiac sign. So this is how heavily embedded she is, which is then against the water sign. And now Rihanna has a name for her fan club. Rihanna's fan club is called the Rihanna Navy. So she's very conscious of this aspect. In 2012, Rihanna acted in a movie called Battleship, where she played a member of the United States Navy. She played a character named Couric, and the movie used a real-life battleship. It is the USS John Paul Jones, that is an actual battleship. And that's the battleship Rihanna is on in Battleship. And the subtitle to Battleship is "The Battle for Earth Begins at Sea." And we know who rules the realm of the sea, Neptune, her ruling planet, whose symbol is on her country flag, Barbados. And so USS John Paul Jones has a value of 57. That's the birth number. John Paul Jones has a value of 52. Remember that in the picture was like the date May 2nd. That's the date that draft opinion by the Supreme Court was leaked again on Roe v. Wade. But think of the term, it was leaked. Think of the water, Roe v. Wade. You roll a boat through water, wade through water. So Roe v. Wade is a water theme. And the draft opinion was leaked on 5/2, May 2nd. John Paul Jones has a value of 52. Also in Roman numerals, if you take LVII, which is 57 for the Super Bowl, LVII has a value of 52 and 25. So it ties into 52, 25, like May 2nd or 2nd May. So the USS John Paul Jones was ordered and awarded on September 25th, 1987. September 25th, that's the day that the National Football League announced that Rihanna would be headlining the Super Bowl halftime show. If you understand the clues, which I think we're demonstrating here.
Again, what I think of was September 25th is also the day that JFK gave a speech on weather control. It's the day Agenda 2030 had its last day of the conference. And more recently, it's the day Public Enemy put out the album "What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down," and again showed Valentine's Day, or showed the Valentine's State on the cover, and then on Valentine's Day you had the blackouts all over the nation. Houston got the worst of it, and again, I think of the Trident, I think of 9/11, I think the storm out in the Atlantic the day the towers came down. It seems that. It seemed there's so many things overlapping here. You're talking about birthing anew. Again, the Super Bowl's down in the Cardinals Stadium, which they did move to the suburb of Phoenix, Glendale, but still really Phoenix is the big city there. And of course, Phoenix, the symbol of the Phoenix is anew as well, coming out of the ashes. So yeah, everything you talked about, your prediction, it's dead on. And it just makes a lot of sense, especially since they're talking about this new normal. We're getting into this new normal now. And part of the new normal is giving up bodily sovereignty. And people might recall that the V word, the jab, that word they don't like you to say in the algorithm, that's spelled VACCINE. It has Gematria 57, like Bill Gates. And we were able to predict that May 7th, 2020, we'd see the Moderna stock shoot up. And it did that day. And the reason we predicted that in advance before it went way up is because, again, it was backed by Gates. We knew the numbers, and it was the first V to get approved for phase 2 testing, and that's why its stock price surged that day, as we imagined it would. But I see something going on with this too, because you just brought up Roe v. Wade and where it fits in. And remember, right before Roe versus Wade was overturned, the week before, the government approved the V for ages 6 months and older. And of course, Bill Gates' father was big on Planned Parenthood. And he had a lot to do with the time of the Roe versus Wade decision. And of course, now you got Bill Gates, who's Mr. V, and the V was developed using fetal material from abortions, and now all this focus on birth and fertility. So those are just my thoughts as you're putting all this together. But I wanted to remind people about September 25th being this recurring date of importance. And go ahead, Rambo. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you mentioned Bill Gates' father, Bill Gates Sr., because his birthday is November 30th. And I'm going to talk about this later in this decode. November 30th is significant because that's the day Rihanna was awarded National Hero of Barbados, which is the same day, exact same day, November 30th, that Queen Elizabeth was actually demoted. It is no longer the sovereign of Barbados. Barbados became at least on the surface, independent of Britain, and the Queen lost her status as sovereign of Barbados on November 30th. So I'm going to talk about that, but since you mentioned Bill Gates Sr., that was his birthday, November 30th. So, which is St. Andrew's Day. So the September 25th. And also, one of my commenters on my YouTube channel, named Eureka Stockade, I'd like to shout out to Eureka Stockade for this. He mentioned that the Millennium Dam in Ethiopia, this big dam on the Nile River that is just built, very controversial, because the Nile flows from south to north. So it actually slows down the amount of water going north towards Egypt. So, but the Ethiopia opened up the Millennium Dam. And for the very first time, the Millennium Dam produced electricity on February 20th, which is Rihanna's birthday. And after how heavily coated she is with water, so you have this, and think of the mystique and the historical status, almost sacred status of the Nile River. Especially with the secret society of Freemasons. They venerate the Nile River the same way they did in ancient Egypt. It's a sacred river. It's very unique how it flows from south to north. And Rihanna tied into water. So there's this dam on this great river, great mystique in history. It produces electricity for the first time on Rihanna's birthday, February 20th, 2022, which is also the date that Queen Elizabeth was diagnosed with the coronavirus. Again, so Rihanna's is really up there. I can't think of many celebrities who are as significant. She's used for so many high-level rituals. So it's also called the Renaissance Dam. It's also called the Millennium Dam. It has two names. And Renaissance, what does Renaissance mean? In French, Renaissance means rebirth. That's the theme again. And it's interesting they call something rebirth on the Nile. What are they rebirthing? Are they some ancient Egyptian, civilizations or pharaohs? Like, when you think of that term on the Nile, it wonders, was something like that. A place with history like that, they talk about rebirth, you wonder, what are they rebirthing? But, so flood, so 52 and 25 are big, watery numbers, like flood in Gematria, it's 52 and 25. Renaissance Dam, the value of 252, which is like a palindrome of 25 and 52. And remember, 52, it's May 5th, May 2nd, or 2nd May, which is the day that the Supreme Court released the drastic opinion on Roe v. Wade, and the same day that a pregnant Rihanna statue was displayed in marble. So her pregnancy was celebrated as well on a Roe v. Wade decision on that day.
Rambo, we got a commercial break. We'll be right back, everybody.
We're not on the stage just because of talent or ability. We're up here because of 4 a.m. We're up here because of 2-a-days or 5-a-days. We're up here because we had a dream and let nothing stand in our way. If anything tried to bring us down, we used it to make us stronger. We were never satisfied, never finished, will never be retired. My high school English teacher, Mr. Fisk, actually paid attention one time in class. And she said, he had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And I took that to heart. I believe there's time for resting at the end, but for me, that time is not now. Thank you for this tremendous honor and acknowledging my basketball career, but I'm far from done. My next dream is to be honored one day for inspiring the next generation of athletes to have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never, ever rest in the middle.
Hey everyone, it's Chris Gio, founder of True Frequency Radio and host of Beyond the Veil. The mainstream media and establishment are running scared right now, and they've prominently featured TrueFrequencyRadio.com as number 89 on the federal government's hit list, also known as the fake news list, which is essentially a list of sites slated for censorship on Facebook, YouTube, Google, and other social media. Now is the time for you to get involved. Share your favorite TFR shows far and wide on forums and social media. Tell your friends and family about your favorite shows. If you're a business owner, get in touch with us to feature your product or service right here on TFR. And if you haven't done so already, become a TFR supporter now and get unlimited commercial-free downloads in high quality. Visit truthfrequencyradio.com/sign-up. Thank you for making TFR the leader in independent and uncensored talk radio. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Join me on the Nikki Colombo Show. It's time to reclaim our true history, our true timelines, our cosmic heritage. And remember, be humble, for you are made of earth. And be noble, for you are made.
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back, True Seeker, and so is the static, just in time for Rambo to get back on. NSA seems to be tuned in tonight. Sorry about the static, Rambo, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I guess in a way it's a validation of the work.
Indeed, indeed.
Also, I'm just demonstrating here how you're able to predict major events with the work. So it's probably they probably know they're watching this stuff. They know what I was going to present. Like you can't have. I mean, it's something that might get people's attention. Oh, wow, you can predict things like that with this. It's like, oh, they pay attention to these things. That's why I know it's validation. I'm pretty sure it's being done consciously.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the number 52 and 25. They're related to water. And the date, May 2nd. 2nd May, water is related to fertility and life. Water is considered a source. The mother particle. The mother particle is hydrogen. Because the hydrogen is the element upon which all elements are dependent. If there's no hydrogen, then there's nothing. There's no matter. So hydrogen is considered the mother particle. So water in general is considered the source of life in the material world. And that's what birth is about. And so 52 is, and 25 is flood. Fluid is 52 and 25. LVII, which is 57 Roman numerals, is 52 and 25. And 57 is the birth number. So recently there was, the NFL highly ritualistic. The NFL synchronizes, and the NFL team that synchronizes the most with Rihanna would be the Miami Dolphins. And I'll explain how she's a Pisces, and the ruling planet of Pisces is Neptune. Neptune is anthropomorphized as a god, a Roman god. Now, the main symbol of Neptune is the trident, but Neptune has other symbols. One of the other symbols of Neptune is the dolphin. So the Miami Dolphins are directly related to Neptune. They even have the aquatic colors. This is all done very consciously. This is very esoteric. The NFL, all the logos, even the locations, the dates, the dates of key personnel, owners, quarterbacks, coaches. Okay, some of it might be organic. Some of it is the zodiac working it, but a lot of it is orchestrated, such as, the NFL knew what they're doing when they named them Dolphins, and their star player is Tua Tagovailoa. He's a Pisces. That's not by coincidence. From my estimation, the Miami Dolphins were instructed by a higher power to sign him, even though he's talented, many teams might have wanted him, specifically because of his zodiac sign, because it fits the symbolism of the Miami Dolphins, which is Neptune. The dolphin is a symbolism of Neptune. It's a ruling planet of Pisces. Tagovailoa is a Pisces. The Miami Dolphins current head coach, is Mike McDaniel. He's a Pisces, and just this offseason, he replaced Brian Flores. Brian Flores was a Pisces. All this is not a coincidence. The Miami Dolphins are a symbol of the dolphin, of Neptune, a symbol of Neptune, which rules Pisces. That's why there's so many Pisces. None of this is a coincidence. So, and interestingly, the Miami Dolphins will be 57 years old at the time of Super Bowl 57. He's on a 57-day numerology. And so on Thursday, September 29th, Tua Tagovailoa, he suffered a severe concussion against the home team Cincinnati Bengals. Now, just 4 days prior, which is a Sunday, so the previous Sunday, 4 days prior, he had a serious concussion against the Buffalo Bills, where if you see footage of that, he couldn't even stand up. He was trying to walk back to the line of scrimmage, and then he fell to the ground. He fell to his knees, and some of his offensive linemen had to actually literally hold him up. When you're so concussed that you can't even stand up, you can't even walk to the line of scrimmage, you probably shouldn't even. You have no business playing again 4 days later. But my belief is they made him play 4 days later. Like, for those who are in the NFL, they did that with RG, the RG3, when he was injured in no condition to play, and they made him play. Oh, it's not hard to believe, but yes, they want the players to be injured. But there's no other explanation. Anyone with just basic common sense knows this person should not be, but they are, and it's done intentionally to injure them, because this is ritual, and he symbolizes Neptune. This is a destruction of Neptune symbol. So sometimes you'll see a planet or an entity, maybe a deity or something, being represented in a ritual. They could either be venerating or celebrating or maybe honoring or even sacrificing to that entity, or they could be persecuting that entity itself. It could go either way. In this case, I believe Tua is a Neptune symbol, and they were destroying Neptune. That's why they put him in. They put him in so he could be concussed again. They wanted it to happen. And so Here's the water theme again. If you look at dolphins and Poseidon, it's a Grand Slam perfect match across all four base ciphers. Dolphin, Poseidon. There's no doubt that the dolphins are a Neptune symbol. Gematria doesn't lie. Not when it's this close. The odds of a matchup like this are astronomical. Also, if you look at Rihanna, dolphins, Poseidon, they have double overlap in the base cipher. So Rihanna is also, she's a female Neptune. She actually represents Ashura. Ashura is the goddess. Her moniker is she who treads on the sea. That's Ashura. That's who Rihanna actually represents more than anything else. Ashura is a fertility goddess and a goddess of the waters. And Ashura also is sometimes depicted with a trident as well. And this goes back to the ancient Sumerian pantheon as well.
What you're saying reminds me that we're in the year of the water tiger as well. It's the year of the tiger, but it's the water tiger this year. And the queen was a fire tiger, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's relevant. So think about that water and look at how deeply the Miami Dolphins are coated with water. And who did this concussion come up against? It came up against the Bengals, which is the Tiger team. But yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah, so that's why you see Tua against the Bengals, the Tigers, where he finally got knocked out. Like now they have to spin him out, which it was deliberate. It was deliberate. They left him in there like they did with RG3. They knew the injury. They put the player in there to be. So Tua. So Tua got knocked out. He got concussed on a Sunday. 4 days later, on Thursday, there's no excuse for that. Unless it's a ritual, which it is. Then he gets concussed a second time. Now, the player who gave him the concussion, knocked him out, was Josh Tupou. And what is Josh Tupou's birthday? May 2nd. 2nd May. This is too perfect. This cannot be a coincidence. 2nd May again. That's the big Rihanna. That's when Rihanna, the pregnant Rihanna, was displayed in statue as the goddess Irene. That's when the draft opinion for Roe versus Wade, again, Roe in water, Wade in water, and it was leaked on 5-2. Well, that's Josh Tupou's birthday, and he's the one who knocked out Tua. Again, so 5-2, 25, and it doesn't stop there, because when Tua got knocked out of the game, well, okay, so at the time Tua was knocked out, the score was 6-7. Now you can see that. I showed the graphic where he's knocked out, and you can see the score 6-7. Well, water in Gematria, that's a big number for water. Water is 6-7. That's in English ordinal, or just simple Gematria. In reverse ordinal, water is 68. Why is 68 significant? Because that's Tua Tupou's jersey number, 68. He's the one born on May 2nd who knocked him out. His jersey number is 68. That's another water number. The score is 67, water number. It doesn't end there, because who is Tua's backup quarterback who replaced him when he left? Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, so Teddy Bridgewater came in. And also, what is Rihanna's hometown where she was born? She was born in Bridgetown, Barbados, the capital of Barbados. So yeah, so Teddy Bridgewater came in. And again, so the big topic here is concussion. And concussion has a value of 57. And I honestly think that this is it's a sacrifice of Neptune, as was 9/11. When 9/11 had the Neptune trident designed into the Twin Towers, and then they were destroyed. So they weren't. I mean, clearly they were not honoring. This was not Neptune doing this. No, that was Neptune being destroyed, and that ties into the ancient Sumerian myth of the War of the Gods between Enki and Enlil. We had a brutal war. They're half-brothers. Enlil identifies with Jupiter. Enki identifies with Neptune and Poseidon. So that's what the War of the Gods is. In ancient Sumer, the original archetypes of a lot of these like Greco-Roman deities, and they had a brutal war. And that the war, whether it's an event that is historical actually happened, or it's just mythological. Still, the events that are happening today, the elites are orchestrating them according to that mythology. Whether that mythology is historical or symbolic, they are still going by it. So this war of the gods between Enki and Enlil is being fought, and that's what 9/11 was about. The twin towers, the trident symbols, that was a destruction of Enki. That was a war of the gods. And Enlil identifies with Jupiter. Jupiter is a striped planet, orange stripes. That's why the tiger represents the planet Jupiter, which is why this Neptune symbol of Tua was knocked out against the tigers. The tiger is Jupiter. I talked about the Bengals and their tiger symbolism. Their star quarterback, Joe Burrow. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Joe Burrow is a Sagittarius. He went to LSU in college. The LSU team is nicknamed the Tigers. So he went to the LSU Tigers in college, then goes to the Bengals in the NFL. And the tiger represents Jupiter. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. He's a Sagittarius. And on his birthday, there's a movie from the Indian movie industry called Bengal Tiger, was released on Joe Burrow's birthday. So that's how they encoded. So that's what this was. This was the Sumerian god, war of the gods. This was Enlil versus Enki, and Enki is Poseidon. And that's what Tua and the dolphins are. And that's why they put him in there, to be sacrificed deliberately. But again, this is a time of resurrection. Talk about the Phoenix, the Super Bowl being in Phoenix, and the Phoenix resurrecting. So this could be a resurrection story. So it remains to be seen what happens. I mean, the Bengals will be 57 years old at the time of the Dolphins. The Dolphins will be 57 years old at the time of the Super Bowl.
Rambo.
So maybe that could be it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just in light of the way these people turn everything on their head, I just see ahead in your post how you point out how the World Cup to the Super Bowl is a span of 57 days. Again, it's Super Bowl 57, and both events are in deserts. And again, you're talking about birthing and water, and again, Roe versus Wade in the time of Cancer, and Cancer's ruled by the moon, and moon's a water sign. So all this water stuff. And again, the Super Bowls are in deserts.
Oh, yeah, that's a big contrast. Yeah, that's a good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just had to get that out of there before it floated out of my head. But go back to your point. I'm sorry.
No, that's a good point. But that is a contrast. There's all this water theme, and then you have these major events. Yeah, in deserts. Yeah, so that is something to. That's part of the yin yang. So another yin yang here, because I'll say how there's the conflict between Jupiter and Neptune, which is Enki and Enlil. Well, the zodiac sign of Pisces has two ruling planets, which is Jupiter and Neptune. So the fish in the Pisces symbol are swimming in opposite direction. So the fish are actually opposing. Every time you see a Pisces symbol, the two fish, they're always going in opposite directions. Even the constellation, you can see the stars are. It's as if they're moving away from each other. That's the yin yang. That's the duality as part of that. So that's a good point that you brought up. That's part of the duality. You see in all flags, you have the water symbolism, this oversaturation of water symbols, then it's a desert. Yeah, that's the yin yang. So yeah, that could be I don't know. Maybe I don't know if they're going to use that yin yang as far as the Super Bowl opponents. I don't know, but yeah, that's a good observation. Or for the World Cup as well. That might clue into the World Cup as well. So a reminder that the World Trade Center 9/11 was blamed on Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden is a Pisces. Osama bin Laden was. Remember the day they say Osama bin Laden was killed? Well, May 2nd. There's that date again, May 2nd, 5225, and he was born in the year 57. And now the operation, again, he was buried at sea. Now there are all these excuses as to why he was buried at sea. They said, well, if he's buried on land, then his burial location will become a shrine and it'll galvanize terrorists, which is nonsense. This is a Neptune ritual. He was buried at sea as a Neptune ritual. But it's likely that he was already dead. He didn't. That's not. But anyways, the important thing is the ritual. They say they chose this date for a reason. May 2nd. We see the significance of May 2nd. And he was buried at sea. And the United States government itself acknowledged the ritual because they named the operation to capture bin Laden Operation Neptune's Spear. So that's a clincher. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. They call it Operation Neptune's Spear. They did. So now we know why. All it takes is a cursory glance at who is Neptune. Well, he's a god of the sea. So that's why they buried him in. Had nothing to do with. They also say no country wanted to take his body. I mean, that's all nonsense. So, and again, Poseidon is 119. Dolphins is 119. That's what the Miami Dolphins are. They represent Neptune. And but again, a Pisces can go either way because Pisces could be Jupiter also. That's the duality. And yeah, so as you mentioned, the World Cup. So the World Cup final will be on December 18th. And that'll be a 57-day span. So if you include the beginning and through to the end date, it's a total of 57 days is when you'll have the Super Bowl. So they're very connected, the two of those. It'll be in the country of Qatar, which is 57. And we're talking about the birthing theme. Like, here again, this is them admitting it. That's not, this is where it's a conspiracy fact. When you look at the, both of the stadiums have it's the mandorla, like the shape of the football called a mandorla, or the vestica Pisces, you could pronounce it vestica Pisces. And that represents the female generative organ, which is, again, a birthing symbol. Well, there's a stadium, the main stadium where they have the final, it has the mandorla shape, but there's this other stadium called the Al Janoub Stadium, where it's not a symbol, it's obvious what this is. It's this, pretty much, they don't hide it. They're not holding back. There's no mystery to it. This is it's literally designed after a birthing vagina. In fact, many newspapers, several newspapers just refer to it quite frankly as the vagina stadium because that's what it is. It's not something that might look like it. No, that's what it is. And so this is the birthing theme. This takes away any doubt that birthing is the theme here. And we talked about November 30th, because that's Bill Gates' father's birthday, November 30th. That's November 30th is when Rihanna was honored as a national hero in Barbados on the very same day that Queen Elizabeth was demoted to no longer the sovereign of Barbados, all on November 30th, 2021. Well, there will be a game played in the Vagina Stadium, let's be frank, that's what it is, on November 30th. So I think of the irony, Bill Gates' father, November 30th, how he's very pro-abortion. He spent his life he's pretty much a eugenicist, kind of preventing birth. So how ironic is that? And so Rihanna has a hit song, and this is my prediction. So I predicted that Rihanna would be in the Super Bowl, and she is, but I'm pretty sure what song, she'll sing more than one song. The one song I'll say she's going to sing, this is my prediction, she's going to sing the song, What's My Name? And think about this. So she had a celebrated pregnancy. Then the child is born. This was on May 13th, the child was born. So we're now on October 5th. They have not publicized the name of her son. They just told us it's a son. There's no pictures of the son. I mean, you see all the other stories, Beyonce, okay, and then the Kanye West, Blue Ivy, Northwest, all these unique celebrity names. What can we heard about their names? Pretty shortly after they're born, but not this one. This was celebrated even more than those. We still don't know the name. Okay, think of that in the context of the song, What's My Name? That's going to refer to her son. What's his name? What's my name? She's going to sing that song. And it's a reference to nobody knowing the name of her son. I almost guarantee she's going to, and I can't guarantee it, but that's my prediction. It just makes so much sense. It lines up. But also the chorus of her hit song, What's My Name, is Oh Nana. Over again, Oh Nana, what's my name? Oh Nana. Over and over, she's Oh Nana. Oh Nana is a slang term in English. It's a slang term for vagina. And we can see what with the stadium and the birth theme, that's another occulted meaning to Oh Nana. In fact, there's a soccer player named Oh Nana. He plays for Cameroon. Cameroon is scheduled to play at least 2 games in the Vagina Stadium. And they have a player, their goalkeeper. He's not an obscure player. He plays for Inter Milan. Inter Milan is one of the biggest, they're from Italy. It's one of the biggest, most storied historical teams in the world, Inter Milan. So this goalkeeper for Cameroon, he's a starting goalkeeper for Inter Milan. His name is Andre Onana. It's his middle name and his last name. Well, we know what Nana means, and these are the lyrics to Rihanna's song, and he's playing in that stadium, the Vagina Stadium. You can't make this up. So, and also you look at the gematria of Onana, which is O and then Nana. Also, the title, when a pregnant Rihanna was displayed on Vogue, and they used that for the model of the statue. And the title of the Vogue cover was Oh Baby. Well, take Oh Baby, associated with Rihanna, and Oh Nana. Again, a Grand Slam match. All four ciphers, Oh Baby, Oh Nana. In fact, they also have the number 53. If you see the ship John Paul Jones that Rihanna appeared on in the movie Battleship, it actually has the number 53 on it. So, yeah, so Oh Nana and Oh Baby, which is on the cover, is a perfect Grand Slam. I think you can take it to the bank. She's going to sing What's My Name at the Super Bowl. She'll sing something else. That won't be the only song, but you can't bet on stuff like that, but I would say my money is on that. What's My Name? That's the song she's going to sing. And I left a link to my video where I made the initial prediction, which is June 26th. So you can see that video if you want. Now also at the World Cup. So what you're seeing worldwide is a trend of women attaining positions that were previously dominated by men or held exclusively by men. A lot of women presidents. You see Supreme Court judges. A lot of political figures all across the world. In New York State, you have a male governor being removed from office just on a rumor, on a he said, she said type thing, and then a female. So this is a trend worldwide. So at this the upcoming World Cup, for the first time ever, you're going to have female referees, not just linesmen, but on the field referees for the first time. In fact, they have three, not one or two, three female referees will be at the World Cup, the Men's World Cup, for the first time ever. And one of them is from Japan. Her name is Yoshimi Yamashita, and her birthday is Rihanna's birthday. It is that birthday again, February 20th. Again, that was the day that dam fired up electricity for the first time. It's a big day, Rihanna's birthday. So she shares Rihanna's birthday. And she's a Pisces, obviously. So if you take the gematria of her name, Yoshimi Yamashita, it has a value of 237. That's like the day 23rd July. And that's Neptunalia. That's the ancient Roman Neptunalia. And again, Neptune rules Pisces. So gematria, the symbolism, mythology, astrology, look at all things perfectly. And also a reminder that on that day, Rihanna's birthday, Queen Elizabeth said caught the coronavirus, the crown virus. So Rihanna's kind of proven to be a kind of a curse, almost for Queen Elizabeth in a way. Like she's elevated all the Queen. First she lost sovereignty of Barbados, then she catches COVID on Rihanna's birthday. Now she's not there anymore. While Rihanna gets elevated, she gets displayed as a goddess in the Greek pantheon. So Rihanna's being elevated. She's a symbol of something. And I think it's Ashra. This is a goddess Ashra. So who knows what the implications of that? In ancient Sumer, Ashra would be the consort of Anu. And Anu is the father of Enki and Enlil, but they have different mothers. So Ashera and Anu are the parents of Enki, who's Poseidon, and their symbol is the trident. And they lost the war of the gods. So the Enki faction won the war of the gods. Now, when you win the war of the gods and you prevail, you get to demonize the symbols of the opposition. So now the trident is now associated with the devil. The reason is because that's according to the winning side, because they lost. So now the winning side is demonizing their symbols. So that's why that.
Oh, we'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight. It's the end.
Hi, my name is Ella, and I'm 10 years old. I'm one of the millions of children born to parents suffering from the sheeple virus. Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a strong belief in government and the mainstream media. It is estimated that 1 out of every 2 children are being raised by parents infected with the Shiko virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Who will that be? Who will that be? President Trump. Who will that be? Donald Trump. Who will that be? President Trump. We have gone from America first to America last. Democrats are vicious. None of this is true.
Who would have thought that within 33 days we'd be from the Middle East? You can French kiss the guy next to you. Get with abolish the police.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
We take great pride in our country. We teach the truth about history, and we reject left-wing lunacy.
Put the mask on. That's not funny. Put the mask on. Because ain't nobody having fun while the socialists are in charge.
With your help, we will take back the House. We will win the Senate, and then a Republican president will make a triumphant return. Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
By the way, in Washington, D.C., Bernie is wearing mittens. Hasbro now wants a gender-neutral Mr. Potato Head.
Fortunately,
The best is yet to come.
3, 2, 1.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
Who will that be?
Donald Trump.
Who will that be?
President Trump.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Conditional age. Conditional age. Situation delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create the culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
All right, we're back. True Seeker Rambo's making up for lost time, and he is back on.
Yeah, I noticed that the static goes away for the commercial.
Isn't it perfect?
Yeah, no, as soon as I come back on, you ratchet it back up.
Yeah, it's something else.
Yeah, so yeah, I did also do another earlier video I gave a link to showing the link between Rihanna and Queen Elizabeth, which was entered the number 822 and 228 was part of the synchronicity on that one, so the link to that. And so that wraps it up, but I'm working on a video right now. I'm actually in the process of putting it together. I'm halfway through. I'm going to put up a video, and this is about the synchronicity between Queen Elizabeth, her death, Princess Charlotte, and the Baltimore Ravens. There's a Baltimore Ravens, a strong Ravens synchronicity, especially after the death of Tony Siragusa, especially to Siragusa. And Prince is related, purple royalty, Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven. So yeah, there's a lot in that one. And that's also based on the fact that at the Queen's funeral, there's a spider crawling on her casket, and they focused on the spider. Well, the spider is very symbolic, so I'm going into symbolism of the spider on Queen Elizabeth's coffin, and it leads to these other connections, especially the Siragusa death. So I'm halfway through that. That's something to look forward to.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's it.
Rambo, are you aware that the only American football game Queen Elizabeth went to was in 1957, and it was Maryland versus North Carolina? And of course, North Carolina is what King Charles is where North Carolina gets its name from. And of course, you also have Charlotte in North Carolina.
Yeah, I saw your video on that. And yeah, so Princess Charlotte is, she's a big part of my decode. Charlotte is, I'm not going to say the Panthers are going to be there, but yeah, Charlotte, I did see a video, and 57 is a big part of it. Edgar Allan Poe is 57.
I want to make one more point to you I saw in your presentation. Now, what number do I always associate with the feminine, Rambo?
I don't know.
53. I always talk about 53 as the number of the feminine. And Super Bowl 57 will be the 53rd of the modern era. And that picture, that tweet at 2:12 a.m., again, that was from the date May 3rd, 5-3. So again, for people who don't know, Super Bowl 57 will be the 53rd of the modern era because that's the year the AFL and the NFL merged. But again, in the NFL, there's a 53-man roster, and there's a 53 and a third-yard wide field. And again, the football is the shape of the Vesica Pisces, which is associated with the womb, and both Vesica Pisces and womb equal 53. So on top of that, birth is 57. So how perfect. It makes it even more perfect. And again, just that tweet at 2:12 a.m. on May 3rd, and the next thing you know, she's the Super Bowl performer on February 12th, 212, which again will be the 53rd of the modern era. And then the point you made about RZA, he's 53 years old right now. So, and born on 5/7.
Okay. Yep. So there's more in my decode. Also remember, like I said, the John Paul Jones ship, which Rihanna appeared in the movie Battleship, it has number 53 on it. So yeah, there's a lot more. So yeah, that's a good addition to that you can tie into that John Paul Jones Battleship. They show you how none of this is random. That they just picked a random ship to have Rihanna of all people. No, it's pretty clear. I mean, it's oversaturated. We have like evidence on top of evidence.
And years of it. And it just makes more sense, and we just back up our points more and more as time goes on. That's why we don't have any real critics. There's a lot of people that'll make insults, but they don't have any real arguments. So
well, you can't really when you get a prediction, that's the hardest thing to argue against is a prediction, because then it's like, okay, I mean, that demonstrates more than anything. I mean, you've been making a ton of predictions, but you can't argue against a prediction. You know, when someone says something ahead of time, and that, then yeah, there's no.
For the person who wants to go back, would be Rambo. For the person who wants to go back and hear the prediction, where do they need to go?
Well, I put a link to the video. It shows. In fact, the thing is, all you need to do is look at the thumbnail. I have a pregnant Rihanna, and then Super Bowl, the logo Super Bowl LVII, but I use the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center for the II. And I put a link to that, but I think it's in the thumbnail. And you can, when you go to the video, you'll see the date it was uploaded. It was just uploaded on June 26th. And the announcement that the NFL announced her as a Super Bowl performer on September 25th. So this video was put out 3 months before it was announced.
Great work. Dead on.
So it's in the thumbnail. I think the thumbnail is self-explanatory. So, I mean, it's not even like you need to go to a certain point in the video, like, oh, what minute of the video is it? Or, no, it's self-explanatory. It's in the thumbnail. Rihanna, Super Bowl 57. And look, when you go to YouTube, you'll see it's June 26th. So, yeah.
Perfect. And guys,
so now
I was going to say, people need to subscribe to the channel. The Truth Codes is Rambo's channel. The video he's talking about right here, June 26, 2022. So, very good.
So there's this other phenomenon that happened at Queen Elizabeth's funeral. There was a spider. It was crawling on the note that Charles wrote through the flowers on top of her casket. And that's very, very deep symbolism. And I'm halfway through putting everything together. I'm putting in the visuals. Well, what I do is I do the audio first, edit the audio, then I add the images, and that's all. I'm halfway through doing that, so it should be up very soon. And so Tony Siragusa of the Baltimore Ravens, and you see his jersey number 98. You know, that's about 98. That's September 8th. And the Ravens are very symbolic. So one of the things I talk about that many people might not be familiar with is that the crown in Britain is actually symbolically guarded by 6 ravens. It's actually more than 6, but it can't be less than 6. So the superstition is that if there are ever less than 6 ravens, then the crown will fall and Britain will fall. So they have to be a minimum of 6 ravens alive in the Tower of London. They're called the Ravens. You can go to just look it up, the Ravens of the Tower of London, and I think that's a big clue. And there's somebody in charge of the Ravens called the Raven Master. That's his title. His job title is the Raven Master. Well, the Raven Master, I think his name is Christopher Scaife. He'll be 57 years old. So yeah, it's some of the interesting things that will be in this decode coming up, this video coming up.
All right, I look forward to it. Tomorrow. Yeah, excellent work, Rambo. Yep. And again, everybody, Rambo's channel on YouTube, The Truth Codes. You can't miss it. So. All right, friend, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, you have a good night. Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, guys, we got about 45 minutes of show left. A lot of people on hold. Try to make your call 1 minute. One really great question, one really great thought. We'll get through a lot of voices. Arizona, you're up first. Thank you for your patience. 480? 480 might have stepped away from. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, all right. Hey, man. I just wanted to get in contact with you real quick. You posted a video after you came back from New York about talking about ego and how you had to work on your ego and stuff.
Indeed. In my lawnmower, all that.
Yeah, and the lawnmower. So, hey, I wanted to ask you a quick question in regards to that. So I've heard you say before, I think that your take is that in the Bible, it's about sun worship. That's what it comes down to. They worship the sun in the Bible.
The Catholic Church are sun worshipers.
Oh, okay. So the Catholic Church, but not like the Bible itself.
Well, again, the Catholic Church is responsible for the Bible as we know it. So that's why I think they synced up the language with like the Son of God, whereas the male offspring and also the object in the sky.
Oh, okay. I got it. So I'm kind of confused because you made it seem like, oh, the Bible itself is about like it's about sun worship and they're trying to sneak that in there.
Well, I think there's a separate spiritual belief about the Son of God coming to earth and him being the name that we use in English, Jesus. That's one thing, but to me, it's the Catholic Church has deceived everybody into doing what they do, worship the Son. That's why they're celebrating Jesus' birthday on the pagan man's or the solar man's birthday, the pagan holiday, to celebrate the birthday of the Son, and just everything else they have going on with the rituals from Easter to Christmas and the rest of it. It's all pagan tradition, and then Christianity is like branded over it. But it's all the pagan tradition. So pretty much all Christians are participating in this sun worship religion, where we've even been given this language where sun has these two meanings: male offspring and object in the sky. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. So it's like they're playing on words, but so I guess I just want clarification on if you're saying that it has to do with like the like a Catholic Church kind of thing, trying to maybe like sneak their own stuff into their own theology about it, or if you were like, oh no, in the Bible itself it says, like, it talks about worshiping the sun and how people should do that. You know?
No, the Bible doesn't tell people to worship the sun.
Okay, I gotcha. And hey, another thing too, I just want to touch on is I've heard that you talk a lot about like lunar phases, because there's like the lunar solar calendar. Just so you know, the actual lunar phases aren't really even relevant. That's actually like same thing like Jesuit Pharisee doctrine, because in Jubilees 2:8. It specifically states that the sun is the sign on the earth for days and Sabbaths and months and feasts and pretty much all the divisions of time. It never once states in the Bible that the moon is supposed to be used for any kind of like timekeeping. So having a lunar solar calendar actually is not accurate at all.
Well, again, I mean, that whole thing from the lunar calendar that they were on previously, the Julian calendar, to the Gregorian calendar, which is sun-based. Again, all this history does pertain to the Catholic Church. And, you know, in occult studies, the sun is symbolic of Jesus and the moon is symbolic of Mary. So, you quote from the Bible. When you quote from the Bible, what gives you the confidence in those verses, knowing the history of, you know, translation and retranslation and mistranslation and certain things missing? What gives you the confidence that what remains in that book is exact?
Well, a lot of it comes down to study, right? So like I actually hold a pretty, I guess you could say, like, hot take view on, like, for example, the book of Esther that is considered canonical in the Bible. I actually personally don't believe that it is canonical. I think it was some kind of like Pharisee leaven that they put into the Bible, because Esther sounds a lot like Ishtar, which is like, you know, where they get the word Easter from,
right?
For their little thing that they do, where they're like, oh, this is the day that Jesus died, but it's not really. You know, same with like Christmas. Oh, this is the day that Jesus was born. But if you actually, so there's the actual calendar that like that is what we run on truly. It's called the Zadok Way calendar. If you look it up, the sons of Zadok were the ones that were actually given the authority to keep track of time in like Leviticus, like when the Levitical priesthood was established. And you can really see when Jesus was actually born, and his name's not really Jesus, it's actually Yahusha, but it's not on December 25th at all, right? So there are a lot of things that have been misconstrued and added into cultural proceedings, but it's not biblical at all, right? So I do hold some crazy views in that regard. People will be like, oh, well, it's canonical. But Martin Luther, the man that wrote the 95 Theses, in which the Jesuit order was created to counter those 95 Theses, also had that view that the book of Esther was non-canonical, and it's actually like Pharisee leaven. Because there's a lot of weird stuff about it that doesn't add up. They mention a feast that is not mentioned anywhere else, and it was never on the Zadok calendar, right? They mention it's the only book in the entire Bible to never use the word God, right? So there's a lot of weird stuff about that. But when I'm talking about what gives the confidence to say, hey, this is what it really is, it's just by testing it, right? So if we test what the Bible says and we study it, you know, then we can say for certain, okay, this is the reality of it. Like I was going to mention to you about sun worship, right? In the book of Ezekiel 8:16, Ezekiel's about like the coming destruction of the first temple, of Solomon's temple. So a lot of the prophets of the Old Testament were saying, hey, pretty much Babylon was going to come and they were going to ransack the city and destroy the first temple. And that particular chapter of Ezekiel is Ezekiel being brought to the temple and being able to look through the wall of the temple by a hole in the wall. And he pretty much is telling him, hey, you know, there's a lot of these abominations happening in the temple. And in 8:16, specifically it says that he was brought to the inner court of the house of the Lord. And at the entrance to the temple, between the portico and the altar, were 25 men with their backs to the temple and their faces towards the east. And they were bowing in the east in worship of the sun. And in the next verse, God pretty much says, yeah, do you see what they're doing here? This is like the worst thing that they could be doing, the abominations that they're practicing here in my temple. So that verse right there specifically kind of like completely shuts down any kind of sun worship, right? Because he's like...
Right. I do see your points.
Because of what they're doing.
Indeed. All right, friend. Well, there's a lot of people on hold, and we don't have a lot of show left, but I do appreciate calling in and getting those things clarified. And I look forward to the next call. And what I'd like to hear the next time is just things that people can observe in the Bible to prove its relevance. If you can real quickly give one example, like in 30 seconds, of something people can look to in the Bible to prove its relevance, I wouldn't mind hearing that.
Oh, the relevance. I mean, buddy, I got a YouTube channel. We could come on and have a
All right, promote the YouTube channel real quick, and then I'll check it out. What's the YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's Gematria Gaming.
Oh, God, it's you. Okay. Okay.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, just a lot of your comments seem real trollish, but okay, the call was all right tonight. Gematria Gaming,
man,
you guys.
I'm serious.
Okay, all right, I respect it. Here, I'm going to subscribe. I'm subscribed. But hey, I do got to let some more people in, but do call back again, and you have a good night, friend. You take care.
All right, man.
That's it. All right, let's go out to George, who's been so patient. What's up, George?
Zach, I know you said 1 minute, so I have a question for you. How are you doing this evening?
George, you can ask me more than how I'm doing. I'm doing all right. It's good to be on TFR this week. I missed a lot of episodes.
Okay, so quick, before I get to my main point, do you think having Aaron Judge hit the 60th home run for the Yankees this year, that is partial homage to Henry Aaron?
It probably was. It's all paying tribute to history.
Okay, so for what it's worth, Henry Aaron only won one World Series in 1957 with the then Milwaukee Brewers, and it was against the New York Yankees. But that was just my side. But my main point has to do with Katie Couric, who is the reporter. She's 65 years old. She was born on January the 7th, 1957. So as I said, she's 65 years old. Now, for what it's worth, she's a member of Tri Delta at the University of Virginia. She is a Protestant and Jewish background. She's Protestant on her dad's side, Presbyterian, and her mom is Jewish. Now, why do I bring her up? Well, you know how you talked about how several people, prominent people, have been sacrificed, such as Joe Biden's first wife and his daughter, and others like rappers. Well, I think her first husband, Jay Monahan, may have been sacrificed. Have you looked into Katie Couric?
I haven't done much research on Katie Couric, no.
Okay, so her husband, Jay Monahan, as I said, she was born on January the 7th, 1957. Jay was born on the 9th of January, 1956. So he's roughly a full year younger than she was. And he died in 1998. I don't have it. Oh, yes, he died on January 24th, 1998 of colorectal cancer. Now, as I said, Katie was Protestant or is Protestant Jewish, but Jay is Catholic. His funeral was at St. Ignatius of Loyola Catholic Church in Manhattan, New York. Now, after that, her sister, Emily Couric, died in 1991, also of cancer. Emily lived from the 5th of June, 1947 to October the 18th, 2001. Now, for what it's worth, Katie Couric has been one of the most successful female journalists in America. She has worked for all three networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN. So, this is pure speculation on my part, but I think her husband or her first husband and her sister may have been sacrificed.
It's very possible in show business. I mean, Katie Couric's a big name in the news, so that is very possible.
Yes, she is. Now, for what it's worth, a few days ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm not sure if they're going to take her out.
I do see that that's a headline from 2 days ago. So.
Oh, okay. So, well, in order to be famous, you have to be a price. You have to pay a price, whether it's a politician, a reporter, an athlete, rapper, whatever.
Indeed. Yeah. There is a big price.
Okay, so do you have time to make one of? Do you have time to make?
Yeah,
one
go ahead, George. Go ahead. One more.
Okay. We spoke about this a few weeks ago about the death of Eliza Fletcher, the kindergarten school teacher in Memphis, Tennessee.
Right.
Now, she worked at an Episcopal church, and I guess last month on the 22nd, the actress Louise Fletcher died at the age of 88. So this happened. So in the month of September, you had Eliza Fletcher, you had Louise Fletcher, and then Queen Elizabeth died.
Right.
So have you looked into the death of Louise Fletcher?
I have not.
Okay, she's probably best known as Nurse Ratched in the 1975 film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And she's probably one of the most famous female villains on screen.
I recall the character. I like that movie. So.
Okay, so, and for what it's worth, Elijah Fletcher went by Lisa, so they're both known as L. Fletcher.
Okay. I see, and both those stories are around the same time.
I'm sorry?
Just the two stories were in the news around the same time, her passing and then the woman in Memphis.
Now, as I said, Lisa Fletcher worked at an Episcopal school. Louise Fletcher grew up Episcopalian. As a matter of fact, her father was an Episcopal minister. Now, for what it's worth, the Episcopal Church is basically the American version of the Anglican Church, or the Church of England.
Okay.
So, I know, okay, so I don't know this for a fact, but there had to be some ritualism with both their deaths, with their names, the fact they died within a couple of weeks of each other. So I wish I could present something a little bit more substantial.
That's okay. It's always interesting what you notice, George. I do appreciate it, and thank you for being so patient tonight. And the commercial break's about to start. So.
Okay, well, have a good evening today.
Yeah, you too. Take care, George.
Fail big. That's right. Fail big. You only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots. And you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. But somewhere, we lost our way. Western culture is once again remembering the healing benefits of CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? Life is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to ialife.com now. That's AYA life.com.
Greetings, Earth Explorers. My name is Brooks Agnew, and I am your host on X Squared Radio every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. This is where the past meets the future. We explore the mysteries of the universe and of the Earth. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear. You will be safely traveling with us. We will dissolve the propaganda of dangerous people with dangerous plans for the planet. We will discuss the latest technologies and challenges for humankind. We will discover the safest place for you to stand when the thinkings and doings of mankind come flying apart, and how you can be one of the people that helps put it back together. Join us.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. The Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back, True Seeker. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. And next up is our friend in New York. How you doing tonight, 347?
What's up, Zach? You can hear me good?
Yes, I can.
I'll make this quick. One more thing about the woman who died, Loretta. What's her name? Loretta Young, whatever her name was.
Oh,
Every title kept saying coal mining daughter, right?
Right.
Coal mining daughter in the Gematria in reverse order is 104.
Oh, of course it is, to go with 10-4.
Exactly, to go with 10-4.
Yeah, good one. Good one. I didn't even decode that phrase. I should have.
All right. You remember before the baseball season started, I was wrong about this, but they still made the playoffs. Remember I asked you think Seattle could overtake the Houston Astros in that division? You know that Houston won the division and one that had the best record in the American League. But Seattle did make the playoffs, breaking that 20 years ago, not making the playoffs.
21 years, yeah.
So you got shocked that you think they might do something. You see they face Toronto in their first round series. You see that, right?
Yeah, that is interesting. The last time they were in the playoffs was the year 9/11 happened, and the Yankees lost to Arizona in the World Series. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I know you're looking. I know you've been busy moving and everything. But I know you're going to listen to the playoff series that start Friday. So I'm not going to stress you on that. But this is the last point I want to make. You were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer last week or a couple of days ago. Did you know about this serial killer they talking about in Stockton, California? I just saw this title today. I don't know if this story might be old or maybe a couple of weeks old. Have you heard about that story? How it goes? As soon as they come out with a series about a serial killer, you got to have the serial killer going on curve.
Oh, sure. You got the Jeffrey Dahmer serial killer series by the numbers, and now it's serial killer in the news. I heard a little bit about that story, but I had to do some more research.
Okay, this is about, I think it was Stockton, California. That's what I think it is. I think you need to check into that serial killer and the Jeffrey Dahmer. I think it's connected together.
Okay. And I was shown how the Jeffrey Dahmer story in 91 was synced up with the Rodney King beating, which was in California. So, yeah, I'll look more into that more.
All right, that's it, Zach. How about you get some more calls for the show, too?
Appreciate it, man. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
Take care. All right, let's go out to 562, California.
Hey, Zach.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, man. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I know, I'll keep it quick. I know TFR is over there in bed with iHeart, but this radio station on Monday night, they're iHeart owned radio station, and they got a show from like 6 to 10. And they come in and out of the show with comments on the game as the Monday night game's going on. And somehow they started talking about the over and under number. And next thing you know, the conversation went into, those YouTube people that, where you pay and they got all the numbers and they got all the ways. Oh, yeah, they just they'll lead you right to the poorhouse and shit. I'm telling you, it's a nice innuendo. You're getting to them.
Indeed we are. Indeed we are. And again, I mean...
But,
go ahead.
Unfortunately, they go the negative way. You know what I mean? That, like, people who pay those people for those numbers are just going to go right to the poorhouse. They've seen it and this and that, Well,
just like the trolls I have that are lying constantly, just leaving nothing but false comments day after day. It's just like negative. They're telling you the opposite of the truth.
Remember, this station's a 50,000 watt, so they get out to a lot of states,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it was on Monday night, from about 6 to 8, somewhere in there, they started commenting.
Perfect. So the next morning they should have woke up and watched my video on why Judge was going to hit the Yom Kippur home run. And so anyway, yeah,
that's
perfect.
What I'm dealing with. All right.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah. Again, you'll never see any of those people try to come on here and debate. They'll just talk out of the sides of their mouth from the safety of their own room. They don't want to have a debate because they know they're going to get smoked. 419, what's up? Hello.
Hey, Zach.
How you doing?
I got not bad. I got a real quick thing. It's funny though because I was gonna come on here and talk about the number 57.
Okay.
And Rambo actually added a bunch to my video. I just made a video this week. It was all about the number 57 in Rosh Hashanah. And just so I have a lot to say, but just so I can keep my point short. So my thing is, I noticed something really interesting about the Queen's death and Rosh Hashanah and the date of November 4th. So obviously Rosh Hashanah equals 57. And this year Rosh Hashanah fell on 269, and 269 is the 57th prime. And Queen Elizabeth died on the 114th days left in the year. if you measure from Queen Elizabeth's death date to November 4th, which is also 114, just like she died on 114 days left, it's 57 days till 114.
And again, that's the day leaving 57 days left in the year. That's why you're measuring to that day.
And it's 57 date numerology.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you have a circle of 57s, and then also on that day on Rosh Hashanah, Cooper Rush, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, started the game. His name equals 57, by the way, and he started the game 5 of 7 for 57 yards.
Of course he did. It's just like how on Rosh Hashanah you had a really rare score of 5-7 in the Sunday night football game between the 49ers and the Broncos.
Exactly. And then last night or the other night, what's his name? Deebo Samuel caught a 57-yard TD pass.
Yeah.
And the score at that time was 67, just like water equals 67. And obviously Rambo just laid down the details on how the 57 is tied to birth, but now, you know, the whole water thing, what happens when you have a birth? The water breaks, right? And
chaos.
The phrase my water broke, that phrase that they usually say when the water breaks is 57.
Huh, okay.
And again, so basically what this led me to is something to do with Trump.
I just want to remind that Prince, when Prince died, he was 57 years old because he died on the Queen's birthday.
Yes. And then what led me to this with Trump is because Trump that day is 88 days after the 8/8 raid, and Trump died exactly a month, or Trump's was raided exactly a month before the Queen died.
And that number is history big. Again, 57 is big with the history of the presidency because several of the first presidents, including George Washington, were inaugurated at age 57.
Yeah, and Obama was inaugurated on he was elected on 11/4.
Yeah.
And he also won the 57th presidential election.
But that wasn't the November 4th one. That was the next one. The first election.
That was the next one. But he's connected to the 114 and the 57 though, because he won the 57th election.
Sure.
But the year prior he was elected on 11/4. So, but anyways, I have a lot of other connections. There's the whole thing with Mike McCarthy, the Dallas Cowboys coach. Also, his name equals 57. The Super Bowl takes place 57 days after the Pope's birthday. And also, to go with your Aaron Judge thing, Aaron Judge equals 57. And when you spell out the number 99, it equals 57.
Just like Supreme Court.
And I don't know if you're aware right now, but WWE is featuring this group called the Judgment Day. And the Judgment Day equals 57 in Chaldean, and the two guys that are a part of it, their names equal 57.
Huh.
So
Perfect.
again, there's a lot to it, and also Hurricane Ian equals 57.
Very
and
good.
Obviously Ian caused a bunch of flooding, right? Water.
It went through the Tampa area on Brady's 57th day of his age.
Yep. And one last thing, about Trump and 11/4. That happens to be 114 days exactly before his ex-wife died. And you remember the date is 11/4 too. And 114 days is also 3 months and 22 days of Skull and Bones. Also, that day is 223 days before his next birthday. So it's 3 months and 22 days after his ex-wife died and 223 days before his next birthday. And it's the 322 day age of the Pope. So you have 322 numbers going on that same day also.
Very good. Is this decoding with Cody?
Yeah, that's me.
All right. I like it. This is your best decode on air yet. Keep it up, man.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate having me on.
Yeah, have a good night. Take care. Let's go out to New York City. New York, 347. New York?
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. What's up, Zach?
How you doing?
Do you remember, I think it was like a month ago when you went through you recommended this video that talked about gremlins, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I remember.
You remember the part with the radio that had the Sapphire 11?
Uh-huh.
The car radio?
Yes.
And Sapphire is like September's birthstone, right?
Right.
So guess when that's a real car radio. Guess when it was actually made, that car radio, when it was manufactured?
It wasn't 68, was it?
Close, 1970, but that's the Sapphire 11. The Sapphire 9 was made in 1968.
I see.
You got Sapphire 9, and that's September, and then the Sapphire 11 was 1970.
Got it, huh?
But yeah, it still has some close 1968 connection again with that.
70 was 31 years before 2001, the 11th prime.
Yeah, so there you go. There's another 1968.
Yeah,
the
very
other
good.
thing is, last week when you didn't really have a TFR, some weird kind of synchronicity happened because I woke up when you were like, you did a late stream, but it wasn't really TFR, right?
It was my TFR makeup, right?
Yeah, I tuned in exactly when somebody called in and was asking about 224, right?
Uh-huh.
And that freaked me out. Like, of all the times for me to call to tune in and hear that part, and I just woke up too in the middle of the night. I didn't expect you to be streaming. And that's actually my birthday, 2/24.
That's funny.
I'm born February 24th, and then I heard you talk about, like, that's the day the Gregorian calendar was instated or something.
Yeah, and
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's the day the Gregorian calendar debuted on February 24th, 1582. And then I realized that Stevie Wonder album that the song's on for the Coolio sample, the name of that album equals 224, and I didn't even have that in that stream, but the next morning I woke up and found out that part, and I was like, wow, that 224 ends up being part of Coolio's death, and he's calling it at the end of this stream on Coolio, talking about 224 in his own life. If you guys missed that, I did a TFR makeup episode last week, just on the YouTube channel, and I asked the caller, I asked him about 2 dates, if they were relevant to him. And the second one I asked him was May 21st, the day leaving 224 days left in the year. And he goes, wow, that's the date of my first child's birth. And I was like, yeah, you're not joking, man. That 224 number is a big part of your life. So, and then you heard it.
Yeah,
you're 224. Yeah, weird, man.
Yeah, and I woke up and tuned into you exactly when he called in. Like, that's so freaky.
It is.
But the other thing is, when you said May 21st, that's pretty close because my sister's birthday is May 20th, and she's the oldest.
Wow. Yeah.
That's pretty weird. That's close to May 21st when you
Very
and you also said there was an August connection too. What was
August 12th is the 224th day of the year.
August, okay. That's close to my father's birthday, but it's really August 9th.
I see. Okay.
That was great.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
My mom's actually born. My mom is born the exact same day as Oprah too, like the same year and the same day.
Huh. Interesting. Friend, we're almost out of show. I know a lot of you guys waited forever, but I got to let a few more people get in because they've been on hold for so long, and we're almost out of show. But
yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you have a good night, friend. Take care.
Yeah.
All right, let's go out to Ohio, 216, Cleveland. 216. He's been on hold for 137 minutes in Cleveland. Funny, huh? 137, the 33rd prime, Cleveland 33 land. Let's go out to Oregon, the 33rd state. Oregon, Ohio State, the first college basketball championship. 971.
Oh, yep. Oh, yeah, I'm on. I didn't think I was going to get on.
You got on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, cool. Oh, my God. So I was actually blowing up your messenger. This is Alec. But it was an accident on 9/2 on I-29, so that's the reverse of the date. It was Kiana's birthday, which is 9/2. Mile marker 113 is where I almost died. It was a
You're calling in at 113 minutes on hold. You're 113 minutes on hold as you told me that.
Oh my God, that's so weird. Oh my God. So that's the one thing I wanted to bring up is like, is this all organic? Like even that, like the 113 on hold. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm losing my mind by connecting because I see numbers all the time. Like it's like more and more I keep seeing numbers. And So 113 marker where this guy plowed into us at 80 miles an hour, and he was what was it? What was the thing? Oh, I'm born on November 9th, so that was 119. And then when you did that article thing on that teacher that died, that was the same thing of 92119, which is 68 days to November 9th. And then, then it was like, if I added 92 plus 119 is 211. Well, but what's the 211th day of the year? Well, that's the Tiger Day, July 30th. So I'm like, am I in some weird matrix? And come to find out, the guy was a race car driver. I felt like he was a stunt driver. So I'm like, are they after me? I mean, I don't hold any worldly power. I mean, I know the chess game, but I was going to a place called Shangri-La, and Shangri-La ties into Theosophy. I mean, it was just a hippie festival. But anyways, I don't know. I just wanted to know your thoughts on 9-2 and just that whole number thing, because it's been tripping me out. And I've been scared like I might get off. I don't want to get sacrificed.
Well, again, 92 is 11 in numerology, the master number. And we were just talking about that with all the car crashes 11 days after our big gathering. And on the 22nd, again, there's definitely an organic side to it. And there is something also about, like, when you start to, like, focus on a number, it seems to come to you, or it seems like it can come at you in your life more than it was prior, because it's almost like because you've given it this energy and attention. I don't know how to explain it all the way either, because I'm going through the same things and witnessing the same things. So we're all kind of trying to figure it out together, I think.
So like you're saying, kind of partially the organic aspect of manifestation, but then what about the guy, like, I mean, do you ever see them doing like sacrifices or on hits on like truthers that don't hold any worldly power? Because the guy was like a race car driver. After I got the police report, I found out, and he works for the biotech industry, which then really got me paranoid.
Yeah, I get it. It is strange. There have been some strange deaths, definitely, in the truth community over the years. And it makes you wonder, but I still don't have any definitive answer on what exactly is happening in those cases.
Okay. Well, that was my main thing. It's like, the 9-2. So 9-2 is 11, and then 68. So is there anything on the 68? Because that's the time from 9-2 to 11-9 is 68 days you had mentioned for that teacher that died.
Well, I mean, I'd have to really think about it more when it comes to the organic side and where it would fit in. Again, we know that number is big for certain. It's interesting how it's 68 and 11-9. We know where that goes with September 11th, but in your case, it's a little bit different, unless there's just something about those numbers just coming together. Like, I guess sometimes if you think about it that way, if there's these sorcerers and spellcasters, because they've done this thing with 9/11 that brings these numbers together, 68 and 119, maybe somehow because it's been put into the world with this energy and this spell, maybe somehow these numbers manifest together. I mean, again, I don't know the definitive answer, but it is interesting.
Really quickly, and then I'll go. Because I didn't know about 68 being tied into 9/11. I mean, I know a lot about 9/11.
Because 1968, all the things that happened in 68.
You're right. Oh, I totally forgot, Dad. Of course, 68. Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Okay, so we're just a part of this matrix. Yeah, okay. Whatever, I'm just going to keep tripping.
All right.
If you're ever in North Dakota, like, I feel like I moved from Oregon, and now I'm in North Dakota, and, like, so if you ever, like, come back through the Midwest, hit me up.
That's funny. That my mom is from North Dakota and moved to Oregon, and my dad, his mom grew up on a reservation in North Dakota and moved to Oregon. So you got the Oregon-North Dakota thing, too. All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Cool.
All right, you have a good night.
Doc.
Yeah, you're welcome. You take care.
Okay, you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye. All right, let's go out to Michigan. Michigan, you're on. It's funny. The next caller is Michigan, and they hung up as I went to this Michigan caller. Michigan. All right, let's try out to Missouri. Missouri, you're on.
Hey, Zach, is this me?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, okay, so I wanted to point this out to you about Coolio. So on 3/22, March 22nd, they announced the I Love the 90s tour. And they announced the pre-sale for those tickets. That was a tour that Coolio was on, as he passed. On 3/23, they announced the pre-sale of tickets. That's 263 days from the date of the concert that, his last concert. On that date, the 322 date, they also had an iHeartRadio Music Award, and the host was LL Cool J.
Huh.
And you might know LL Cool J and Coolio did a song, Hit 'em High, on the Space Jam soundtrack.
Okay.
But to get back to the 322, that was 27 weeks and 1 day to his death.
Huh.
271, Gangsta's Paradise also equals 271.
Right.
It was also 6 months and 6 days before he died. And artist Leon Ivy equals 66 and most years.
Huh. Very interesting.
He also had a song called Ah, Here It Goes from the King and Kale Show, which is 66. And the one thing that's going to tie this all together that makes it seem organic, but then again, we really don't, we're still trying to figure out, is there's an episode on a show called Hot Ones, season 2, episode 5, which features Coolio. And I just want you and the community to check out that episode. It's going to tie all this together because he mentions that it wasn't him that wrote Gangsta's Paradise. It was somewhat of an entity. And if you check out that episode, it's called Hot Ones, season 2, episode 5. And he even mentions the tour that he's going to be on in that episode.
Huh. Okay. Very interesting.
So I just want to share that information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Great research. Are you putting this work out anywhere on a blog or a YouTube channel? Something like that?
I did have it as a post, but the post was it was eliminated, once the Free to Find Truth site was up. But I'm gonna repost it. I'm gonna put it all back together. I'm gonna be doing a live stream cast with Conspiracy Joey.
Okay.
This month on the 11th.
Okay, very cool. Yeah,
and there's a real
conspiracy.
significant date as to why I chose the 11th. I'm going to be bringing that up on that date if you guys want to check it out.
Okay.
But, yeah, like I said, that Hot Ones episode, check it out.
All right, we will. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Conspiracy Joey's who did the called in about the Tupac story years ago. But let's go out to 347. 347, you're wrong.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Oh, hey, Zach.
How you doing?
How you doing, Zach? And please bear with me. I'm gonna make it real quick. I am fairly new to the Gematria, the whole thing, and I've been watching you. I've been watching Kim Falk, and I admire you guys' work. Now, my question is, how come we don't have, and I wanted to get an answer from like you guys, the experts. How come we don't have somebody, or have we ever had somebody revealed against the industry? It could be an athlete, it could be a celebrity, it could be, oh, that's a train behind me, sorry. It could be a celebrity that actually put this out, because you guys make all these videos and all this synchronicity, and I'm pretty sure somebody, they watching. And we never had like a breakthrough or something like that. The latest one I heard was Tila Tequila saying everything that they did to her. So I wanted to know if, what is it? Is they turn a blind eye, but they don't know that it's going on, or they like just like puppets? I mean, I don't know.
Well, okay, so we've had Jeff Young of Megadeth. He's been a consistent, he's the former guitarist for the band. He's been a consistent advocate of the work and told some of his stories and his suspicions. We've had Larry Johnson of the Kansas City Chiefs come on and talk about when he used to hang out with, Jay-Z and Kanye West. Now he's pretty sure Kanye West sacrificed his mom. And we had CeeLo Green, who's, more recently Gnarls Barkley, but also the hip-hop group Goody Mob. He put out, he shared our work about what we were pointing out. And we also had the rapper for Brand Nubian promote the work. We ran out of show. Shoot, you guys. We'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, well, the static was super annoying tonight that was coming through the line. So I appreciate everyone who stuck in for the show. All that was coming through Skype, which is owned by Microsoft. And I'm sure they love us so much at Microsoft. But let me say thank you to the people who chipped in with some super chats tonight. I do appreciate the generosity. I think we raised about $40 during the show. And let me see here. Let's see. All right. Shout out to Divine Lion, who chipped in $5. He said, blessings, family. Thank you, Zach, for all the work. Mr. Scott chipped in $10 and said, every time we get a guest on, I learn something new and it makes me realize that the earth is full of mysteries that may never be revealed. Crazy. Indeed. You know, it's like there's some things that might just not be meant to be understood all the way. Like there's supposed to be an element of mystery to this world. But again, being aware of knowledge, again, as your consciousness grows, there's more things that stand out to you that are so significant in all ways, including spirituality about this world. And Source Code chipped in $2. Thank you, Source Code. Fadiz 77 chipped in the currency SGD, which I'm not sure what it is, but it translated to $35 US. And I appreciate that because we're about to approach the day we call 35 Thursday. I was once upon a time born on a Thursday. But yeah, that's actually $52 raised during the show. I do appreciate it. Appreciate the generosity. Gas is about up to $6 a gallon out here on the West Coast. And I guess I should have just stayed in New York because it's about half the price right now in New York. It's crazy how expensive they are making it out here on the West Coast for us to move around in these vehicles. What's up, DK Stonewood? Hold on. Let me change the audio setting real quick so everybody can hear you real good. Okay. While he's taking a good, healthy bong rip right here, I'm making sure our audio settings are right to take this phone call, and that should make it about fully boosted. So DK is getting in game mode right now. He's getting his green herbs in his body, and his mind's going to be just ripe here any second, depending on how big that bull is packed. But yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Did you hear that?
I didn't hear it. What was it?
I said it's a big bowl, but it's a small bong, so it's like 4 hits.
I see. Okay.
You know,
DK, I gotta ask you, do you keep your glass real clean?
you asked me that before. Yeah, pretty clean.
Yeah, I always ask people that, and because I smoke weed, I forget things too. But yeah, it's always a good sign when people keep their glass real clean. So.
Like I clean it every single day, not necessarily with alcohol and sand every day, but if you keep up on it, you don't have to do that much. You got to use really hot water so it takes the like it adheres to the inside of the glass. So if you put really hot water and slosh it around,
yep, that's how I clean.
Yeah,
just boil some water.
Once in a while, you just got to break out some alcohol if it gets bad, or if I go on a trip and I don't clean it for a while. And I take my little travel one or something, and then I come back. It's pretty resonated because on trips you tend to smoke even more than you would at home.
Indeed. Yeah, great advice.
Remember we were talking about Adam Francisco that he couldn't dunk? I found some clips of him dunking. I sent it to your messenger. If you could pull that up, and then we'll play that when I run out of stuff to say.
We're going to the Adam Francisco dunk highlight footage, huh? I was trying to forget about that guy. He was turning my hair gray.
Yeah, I knew, but we were in the chat right when that Texas accent Bible, so I'm like, oh, this is Gematria Gaming for sure. And people are like, is it? It sounds like him. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, yeah, this is Gematria Gaming. That one too.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that the Bucks and the Raiders have the same logo? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Raiders.
We've been making that point because, yeah, Brady goes to the other pirate team. It all started with the tuck rule with the Raiders and the Patriots. I mean, after 9/11.
You mentioned that, too, that the logos are the same?
They're so similar, of course. Yeah, they're the two pirate teams.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then the Rihanna thing, he was saying, Rambo was saying they're modeling her after the goddess Irene or whatever. That's what he was saying, right? I was cutting out for a second there for a moment when you guys were having static issues. I was having reception issues, so I think that's what he was saying. And then you put up a statue that looked like Rihanna when she was painted or something, right? She was all painted red.
Yep.
So, and then he was talking about water, and then I think she came to fame with the song Umbrella, which isn't even her song, which deals with water, right? That's her.
Indeed. And that show was synced up with the Umbrella Academy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then, like, if you think about her name, Rihanna, it's like, what, Rihanna or whatever. It's very similar to Inanna. You know, Rihanna, Inanna, which is in Babylon or with Sumer, it's Ishtar, you know, the Ishtar Gate in Iraq, or, you know, Babylon, which is now Iraq.
Right.
So, yeah, Rambo was onto something there.
Just since Rambo is really hitting the date February 20th, because that's Rihanna's birthday, that's also the day the show The Umbrella Academy ended. It ended on her birthday, February 20th, 2008.
Oh, Rambo said that? That must have been when I was losing reception. I missed like maybe 30 seconds of what he was saying there. What were you guys he was saying about the mater means mom, yeah, and in Croatian we have mater I otac, that's mother and father. So, but yeah, it's like mater, mother, pater, father, nater, God, or nater, nature. We have that nature, and if you take out all the vowels, which, you know, are basically like zeros or decimal points in the numbers, it's mother would be MTR, father is PTR, God is NTR, you know. So we've been a little bit played on that game too. What were you guys talking about? You guys were talking about, why do I have this written down? Oh, you were talking about Uranus and Poseidon, and then I thought there was kind of a connection there. So Uranus and Gaia had their children. I think they had like 3 Cyclops children. Remember so they got the one eye, and they are said to have made Zeus's thunderbolt. And then remember in the Avengers movie, the Cyclops makes Thor's hammer, and then he makes the axe. You know, he like dies, he gets all burned from the sun or whatever, and then, you know, he's got the axe, and it's actually 2 parts. It looks like the sign of the feminine and the masculine, and then it's going to be merged together. And the Cyclops like, he needs the axe, and then he gets the axe, and he comes back to life and teleports to Wakanda. So I don't know why I wrote that down. You guys were talking about it. I stepped away from the video playing, so I don't know what that was related to, what you guys were talking about. What else do I have written down here? Oh, I don't know if I ever mentioned this. You know, the word meta in Hebrew means dead.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's old news then. Do I have anything else written down? Maybe not. I thought I did, but let's play that Adam Francisco dunking thing real quick. That thing is hilarious.
So you said go to Facebook and the messages?
Yeah, the messenger. I sent it to you like probably a month ago, but I tried to look back right now. So I resent it to you. Okay. Trying to look back to see if where it was, but I just couldn't even find it. Figure I just resend it. So it'll be the first thing. Do you have your whiteboard on you right now?
You know, I do not have the whiteboard anymore at all. Sweet lady has been helping get rid of everything, because she's really helping us downsize, and she got rid of my whiteboard actually. So,
do you have a blank piece of paper handy?
It's in the other room. I'd have to go in the other room to get a piece of paper right now.
It's going to be really small, something that's probably the size of like the palm of your hand, not even the fingers, just like something small. I want you to put a graphic up and tell me what it means. I saw somebody do it, and I was like, obviously they don't know Gematria or whatever, but it was very interesting what they did, so I wanted to ask you what it means.
Okay. Well, we can do that. I got the basketball clip up too.
All right, play that. I can't. Well, maybe I can watch it.
It's this Michael Jordan be like ... video.
Uh-huh.
Okay, here we go. We're talking about how Rambo's done a lot of work on that song and why it was that song for the Bulls. Serious. Who is this though? Who is this kid?
It's some guy, Matt something. He's absolutely hilarious. When I saw that, I'm like, this is Adam Francisco dunking on the 8-foot rim.
Yeah, played on the little hoop.
I was gonna tell you maybe you might want to mute it because I don't know if there's copyrights for that for the song. You know?
Yeah, there might be. There might be.
Is that that's why you muted it, right?
Yeah, I turned it down. Yeah.
And then what else was I just gonna tell you right now? Oh yeah. So
he is doing a pretty good job of imitating Jordan. I got to admit it, man.
When I first saw it, I watched it like 5 times. It was so funny.
It is pretty funny, man. He's got the short shorts too from the generation.
I can't watch it right now because it would cut my audio. But is everybody able to see it?
Yeah, of course they are, man. Yeah, I got to give this kid credit, man. He did it right. Oh, funny.
Really good ones. He imitates all these guys so good. I'll send you some. He imitates like Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, he's just right on the way he licks his fingers, and he's fucking hilarious. This guy.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Anyway, what I wanted you to draw a graphic is just basically draw kind of like a small circle and then label it like 12, 3, 6, and 9, like a clock.
Okay.
And then fill in the 1 and 2 and the 4 and 5 and all the rest.
Okay.
And then draw like a long sausage-like circle around from the top of the 12 down to the 6.
Okay.
And now move over to the 11 and draw another long sausage-like circle over the 11 and the 5. Like, so they're, combined in one circle.
Okay.
And then go draw another, long circle like that from the 10 to the 4.
Okay.
And then keep going down until it's like 2 more circles and you'll have the whole thing filled up. So then when you look like, 12 minus 6 is 6, then 11 minus 5 is 6. And if you just keep going all the round, it's all 6s.
Huh. Interesting.
Does that trigger anything in your brain? I was wondering why that is. What's going on there? Is that because Saturn's the 6th planet, it's controlling the time?
Probably. And again, beast is 47, like time, and 666, number of the beast.
Yeah. That's the first thing that came to mind is 666, but I'm like, wait a minute, there's like 6 6s there. So that's like 666 doubled, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, Have you ever seen that before?
With the drawing like you're describing using the clock?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'd never seen that before. And somebody who was doing it had no idea what they were doing. They were talking about something totally different. I was like, oh, that's got to mean something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's about all I got. I have another list somewhere, but I can't find it right now.
Huh. Very interesting.
Can't find it at all. So I have zero. It's been so long since you had like regular shows. I wrote stuff down. Who knows how long ago? 2 weeks or where? I can't remember even what it was. No clue.
Indeed.
So it'll be for next time.
All right. Look forward to it.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks for taking the call again.
Yeah. Take care, DK. See you, man.
Goodbye.
And by the way, for the people watching tonight on Gematria Effect News 24, that channel's been suspended for 2 weeks. They gave me a strike for one of the New York videos. So I have been doing most of the work on Gematria Effect News 25. So make sure you subscribe to Gematria Effect News 25. I'm going to try not to post on 24 too much because it has 2 strikes. But just wanted to put tonight's stream on there. Hopefully they don't take it down and delete the channel. But just a lot of people just leave in the comments, Zach, how come you're not posting? Again, you guys, I get suspended a lot. Make sure you search Gematria Effect News and sort by date to make sure you're always finding the latest content. Again, for those who don't know how to do that, again, when you go to YouTube, let me go to YouTube here. If you search Gematria Effect News, there's a filters that you should see filters. And if you click on that, it'll say upload date. If you do that, you'll get the most current Gematria Effect News stuff. And you can see most of the latest contents on Gematria Effect News 25. Shout out to another War Machine who's putting up my book chapter by chapter. Again, you can watch this video from yesterday before Aaron Judge broke the record, or Alec Baldwin became part of the Yom Kippur ritual. I was just talking about why that should happen and where Alec Baldwin fit in. So again, as we continue to do, and more members of this community, as they learn the knowledge, they're able to forecast what should be expected in your regularly scheduled programming, from news to sports. It's all part of the scripts. And I found this video from Audio Oracle. Apparently, I'm controlled ops and Zach is female. A lot of people have accused me of being transgender. Definitely never has been the case. And again, so many people online just put out the silliest information. But yeah, that is the way to make sure that you're staying caught up on anything. If you don't see me post for a while, it's probably because the channel's suspended. So see which channel I've hopped on to for the latest. But yeah, again, thank you to everyone who hit the like and the share tonight. Thank you to everyone who made a donation. Shout out to the people on CashApp. Sarah Sutherland sent $10. Lavelle Gilbert sent $5. And Clean Preps sent $2.01. And I get why. And yeah, anyhow, that is it for this evening. Thank you so much. And shout out to all the super chatters. Gina chipped in $10 late on the super chat. I do appreciate that. And tomorrow, a lot of moving stuff. Friday, a lot of moving stuff. But I will still try to put out content where I can. Probably be some car videos. And remember, 5 years ago, you guys, we'll close out with this. 5 years ago, Aaron Judge passed Babe Ruth's home run record on Yom Kippur. Now, Aaron Judge passes Roger Maris's home run record on Yom Kippur. And when it happened last time, when he passed a home run record, right after Yom Kippur concluded, you had the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day leaving 91 days left in the year in Sin City, when Yom Kippur is connected to atonement for your sins. This time, the big focus is, well, there's so much going on right now. But yeah, there's a lot of tension with Russia-Ukraine, that the missing nuclear sub, again, Alec Baldwin, who's in the hunt for Red October. Here we are in October. It's almost a year since Helena Hutchins' killing and the big ritual on the set of Rust, the Ukrainian woman. So anyway, there's been so many warnings about how this could escalate in Russia-Ukraine. And I'm just wondering, are we near that greater escalation? This past weekend, 9 members of NATO wanted to bring Ukraine in on the 9-date numerology. In the big Art of War special, again, we covered that on Gematria Effect News 25, the latest 102 Art of War tribute. Again, it was on 10/2. Putin, he does not want Ukraine to be a member of NATO, so that's another thing that can escalate. So, yeah, again, it was a big story, a big, horrible tragedy right after Yom Kippur and Aaron Judge 5 years ago. Is it something similar? We should find out relatively soon. Let's hope not. But again, history does tend to repeat itself, and these rituals tend to be very similar. And something I've been catching on to is, it seems like there's something about every 5 years, because I'm noticing there's been a lot of stories in the time I've been doing this. I'm like, wow, there was a story like almost exactly like this 5 years ago. I've been saying that to myself a lot in the years I've been doing this, as time's gone on, and now I have the body of work to look back and say, wow, 5 years ago, a lot of my documentations were just like this. And I think there's another pattern here with some kind of 5-year cycle. And maybe that factors into time, having Gematria 25, which has a square root of 5. And I don't know, but we will see. And again, you guys, I will encourage you one more time. All the predictive programming for a great power outage. Don't forget War of the Worlds, that movie, the Spielberg movie. It has the big 201 early on in it. And shout out to Math Tucon. He chipped in $5. Said, thanks for teaching me this knowledge. I appreciate you a lot. Very welcome, Math Tucon. I appreciate that. And but again, War of the Worlds. It starts with a big 201, and it also starts with a blackout in Ukraine. And again, you got Albert Pike's letter about 3 world wars. Of course, that was dated on the Jesuit order's birthday. But again, an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of care, you guys. They're forecasting all these types of things that could happen. Make sure you have water, dry food, first aid. It would be great to have some propane tanks, a propane stove, batteries, flashlights, just things to have on hand that are affordable in case there is a blackout, in case there is some kind of shortage, emergency. If you have water on hand and a supply of dry food, if you can find a store like a grocery outlet type of store where you can get tuna cans or whatever for $1, whatever kind of canned food you want to eat. But do think if it's slim pickings, maybe tuna's not your favorite thing. Maybe you're even a vegetarian. But there's cans of beans. There's all sorts of things you get. Tuna, a can of black beans, all different kinds of canned beans. Relatively, you can buy these things for relatively cheap, $1 or less a can. And I mean, having that each day and some water, you can sustain yourself. You might be going on that diet that you've been putting off for all these years, but I can't emphasize enough to have an emergency supply at your home in case your neighborhood ends up being, like what happened to Houston or Portland on Valentine's Day 2021. And yeah, it's sad that we live in a world like this. But again, don't live in fear. But again, be aware of what's being forecast and be prepared for that day in case, that day comes sooner than you think. And don't keep putting off having, a little preparedness. If you had $50, you could go out and get an emergency supply of food, water, first aid. I mean, if you have more money than that, you can stock up even more. But $50, you could get a lot of supplies that would take care of you for at least a week. And again, like that's what it was for Houston, right? And Portland, no power for a week. Could be worse too. So. And that's the thing too. I mean, you can, if you can budget $20 a week and keep building your emergency supply at a rate of $20 a week. If you smoke cigarettes, you spend almost that on a pack of cigarettes. You know what I mean? So anyway, hopefully all that stuff that they've been forecasting is still a long time away, but one day that day is going to come. Eventually a long time from now will be that day. So. All right, True Seeker. We'll leave it there. Have a good rest of your night. And I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow. Till next time.